talk.
Do not disturb. The only thing that can come through is my wife.
Okay.
So I always make sure that my wife can get through to me.
Yeah.
Just because she's the wife. You know?
She's a priority.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So how do you? Your last name is Bayley.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Bayley.
Okay. Cool.
Bayley with a Y, not with an I.
True. Here with Rob Bayley on Open Brother. This is the first time we're doing it out. I'm out, which I love. This was his suggestion, actually. How you doing? And yeah, we're getting an interview in.
Finally. Yeah, something special about walking and talking.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I guess a little bit about yourself. I mean, how we met was at the Muay Thai gym.
Yeah. Your brother.
Yeah, my brother Andrew. He invited me out to just experience the whole thing. Got punched in the face a few times. Always a nice, humbling experience. That was pretty good. He put me right with the biggest guy, Franklin.
Oh, Frankie.
He was like, "You're the same size as Frankie." I'm like, "Oh."
Yes.
And I'm like, "Frankie, it's my first time." He's like, "Cool."
Yeah. He's a cool guy, man. He's tough, but at the beginning, he didn't really know his own strength. So I
Yeah.
can see why he got hit.
Yeah, that was what it was. But at the same time, it was great. We kept in touch. He was actually the first person to buy one of my shirts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He's a solid guy.
He saw one of my David Goggins shirts. He's like, "I need one."
Hey.
So we met up, and yeah, he's a great guy, man. Great guy. But yeah, I met you there, and you stuck out. You seemed like a good guy.
Thank you.
And yeah, we just kind of kept in touch via Instagram, and now here we are, years later. I guess there's a lot of connection that happens in like liking each other's stories and stuff. You kind of see what different guys are up to.
Yes.
You kind of see where you connect.
Yeah.
And one big connecting point for me with you was you were building. You were building a lot. You were doing things of that nature with your hands.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've only just recently, as I got married, started to realize that I need in my life, because it's like I can't do things. Like it's not even in comparison to myself, in comparison to like my girlfriend's father, my wife's father.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like if he wants to build a shed, he just kind of decides that he's gonna build it. he just needs a spot, and that's it.
Yeah. And there's something different when it's your girlfriend's family that can build, and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay. I know exactly what you mean. Yep.
And because he's like that, he's equipped her. So like I remember I had one emasculating moment I always talk about where we're supposed to like hang a TV up, and I go to work and I come back and it's hung up, and I'm like, what the? I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, is that gonna stay up? She's like, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did you do this? She's like, I just went and got a drill and just. I was like, shit. I was proud, but at the same time, I was like, man, I should have been able to do that. Shouldn't even have been a question.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what stood out for me with you, for me, the most.
So I'm still actually in the same boat. I'm okay. Like, I'm not good at it yet. But when my wife and I, when we bought our house in 2012,
Yeah.
it needed some work. Like the owners before, they had animals, and they had a cat. The cat pissed on the floor, and it sunk through the floor. So we had to rip out the floor, install a new floor, like the plywood floor, flooring on top, and we had to rip out a lot of things, and we got a lot of stuff done. The problem was, at that time, two problems. One, I didn't really know what I was doing, and number two is I was hesitant to do something that I wasn't good at. And now that I'm older, I'm almost 40 years old now, looking back, I realize so much of the things that you want to do in life, you don't do if you've got that mindset. So much.
True.
Like waiting till you're ready. And we had a conversation about waiting till you're ready.
Yeah.
And I know I've been there so many times in my life. I'm going to prepare first. I'm going to learn first. And I think we undercut ourselves. Like, as a human being, you can learn. As male or female, it doesn't make a difference. You can learn how to build. So get in there and do it. And as you start doing it and you make a mistake, fix the mistake. You don't like how it looks? No problem. Get it out and do it again. If you're concerned about wasting money, I can understand if you've got a budget. But ask a few people that know what they're doing get them to come in and do it with you, pizza and beer or something, call it a day. You know,
Yeah.
you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. When you said that to me, I was like, yeah, I guess he's right. I mean, like, because that is the things that, like at one point I was 350 pounds, and it's like, I just kind of figured it out. I asked the person here, I asked the person there. I started working out. There's weights over here. My brother showed me this. My mom shows me this.
Andrew?
No, actually, my brother Chris and Jason.
Oh,
So me and Andrew have different mothers.
okay.
So I grew up with two other brothers.
Yeah.
They were just both just as athletic, but Andrew obviously took it to a whole other level.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Muay Thai and everything. But yeah, they were just like, do this and do that and stop eating so much.
Gotcha. 350.
Yeah, man, I was a big boy.
What are you now? 240?
Right now I'm 235.
235.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But I mean, at that age, I dropped from 250 and I went down to 175.
Yeah.
And then I just started building up muscle because I just wanted to get thick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, man. Like, I guess you do just figure it out. But I never look at that weight loss thing as the same as like building things. But it's the same kind of blocks, you know? Determination, figuring it out,
So
trudging through.
I have an unproven theory, but a lot of people agree with me there. I think it has a lot to do with the school system. A lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I can gather what you mean when you say that, definitely.
You have tests. You fail a test, it's like you fail. This affects your grade. It affects whether you pass or not. But outside of school, you fail at something, you learn. That is actually, it's better to fail in life than to always succeed. Because with constant success, you're eventually you're going to run into a point where like there is no such thing as someone who's always succeeding. Everyone fails, and everyone fails often.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid to fail, you do nothing. Like you're afraid to touch. Like I spent, man, about 8 years in that home before I renovated one damn thing. 8 years.
Really?
Like even baseboards. I'm like, hey, what if I do the baseboards wrong? What if this? What if I spend too much money? Well, next thing you know, 8 years have passed. I haven't touched a damn thing.
Wow.
Like, come on, man, wake up. So
Wow.
once you realize that life is passing you by because you're afraid to do anything, like you gotta make a decision. What kind of person do you want to be?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. What kind of person do you want to be, and how long do you want to wait? I remember my coach, before he was my coach, we were just friends, and I was talking about coaching, and I was about to go close my first client, and and I was like, yeah, it's just, a little scared of this, trying to be prepared, trying to be super prepared, and this and that.
Yeah.
And then we'd already known each other for like 5 years, and he goes, so how much longer do you want to wait? He's like, you want to wait like another 5 years, another 6 years? 42 maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe 46? He's like, how much longer are you going to wait? And I was like, fuck, he's right. And I apply that to myself a lot now when I'm meandering around shit.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, okay, how long do you want to wait?
Yeah.
And I just kind of get after it. Try to, as much as I can,
Yeah.
It's hard. Some things are hard. But
Everything's hard at first.
exactly, yeah. Exactly. Oh man, so like when we were talking, actually like look, can I get into a little bit of what you do? Like what do you do right now? Because at the time you had a security company, I believe.
I didn't have it. I was so
I don't know where we're allowed to go. Yeah.
Long story short, if that's even possible. There's so much to unpack here, man. Oh my god.
It's all good.
Okay, 2003. I'm in York University. I'm studying kinesiology. At that phase in my life, I would like to get into it with you eventually if we have time.
Yeah.
But I was really into martial arts and I was really into health and fitness. And so I was at university studying kinesiology, which is like the way of the moving body and how to leverage it and optimize it. And I realized that because I had actually been interested in this subject for years, and I had actually been taking the initiative to learn on my own and not wait for a teacher to talk to me and tell me things, I realized that what I was learning in year one of kinesiology, a lot of it was outdated and it was wrong. And I didn't have any rich parents paying for my university. I was paying for it myself. And I'm not wasting my money on this. Like I was at a little bit of a crossroad. Like, what am I going to do here? I'm spending all this money to learn something that I don't even really agree with. And it's like the typical rebellious kid in year one university,
Mm-hmm.
thinking if they made the right decision, if they should continue on and get a piece of paper or not, right?
True.
And I met this guy at the gym, and I was doing chin-ups at the time.
Okay.
And he looks at me, and I see this guy looking at me. I'm like, who's looking at me? Who are you? So I look at him, and he's like, you're a martial artist.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, yeah? Why do you say that? Anyway, we get to talking and everything, and turns out he had recently started his own security company, and he had a background in security and everything, and he was looking for people to work. And so he asked me if I wanted to do this event. This is coming up in September, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I did it, and my mindset at that time, I was all into. Do you know the book, the Hagakure?
No.
No, by Yamamoto Tsunetomo. He was a samurai that lived right after like the really hard times, the big wars in ancient Japan passed by,
Yeah.
like the 1800s, 1700s, the edge of 1700s. And so he was more of like an administrative samurai, not a war samurai.
Okay.
And I didn't know it at the time. Like I was engrossed in that book. And I was attempting to live that book out. Like, you know what? I'm a martial artist. I'm a warrior. I need to serve someone. And so I'm going to approach this like as if I was a samurai. I'm doing security. It kind of falls within my thing. And so I started going down that security path. And that was 2003. There was basically 3 people in that company in 2003. I took a brief hiatus to go and live in Australia for a year around 2006.
Oh shit.
But when I came back, I got back to that company, and like we basically built it together. And by the time I left, which was in June of 2020, there was approximately 300 people in that company. So
Wow.
we had built something that was, you know, very successful from a business point of view.
Definitely.
And I don't remember the question. So what was the question? What do I do?
Yeah,
What do
yeah. You can keep going, man. I see what's going on. You're going through the path of it all.
Yeah. Well, right now, what do? I spend my time in Blue Mountains. I live in Blue Mountains, Ontario. My place is right between a beach and a mountain. So I swim and I hike a mountain. And I spend time with my wonderful family. If you ask me what I do for work, I help people that are small business owners and entrepreneurs create successful businesses that actually function. Like in my former, this is a cool place, eh?
Right? As I was walking in, I'm like, okay.
It's beautiful.
And it just goes down and around, probably.
Yeah, I hope so.
Dope.
Yeah, in my former life, I did everything from hiring, unfortunately firing, operations, sales, client service. Like I had my hand in everything because it basically came from a startup to like a corporation.
Yeah.
And so right now I draw all that experience to people that I have this thing with helping people. I
Yeah.
like helping people. I have more motivation when I'm working to help someone that I love and respect than helping myself sometimes.
I hear that.
It's kind of a flaw, but
Yeah.
you know,
It
if
can,
you-
wrong person, it can go the wrong way.
big time.
Yeah.
Big
yeah,
time,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Big time.
Mm.
That's happened to me.
Me too, man.
So yeah, what I do right now is I help them predominantly through marketing and creating more of an online presence, having websites that function for them, and getting connections and understanding business strategy. So to take them from like a new business owner with an idea to a successful business operator / owner.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I do.
True. I like that you explained it like that, because like when I was talking to you, like when you helped me out a little bit when you were telling me about content blocks and everything, I was like, this guy's like a business coach, right? Because like that's along the lines of what it seems like,
Okay.
right? Like you're helping people, you're helping build them up.
Yeah.
I mean, like as a coach myself, like that's what I like to do in terms of people in their lives.
Yeah.
But you're doing it towards their business, which arguably is just as much a part of their life as anything, you know what I mean? Very vital part, in fact.
Yeah, how do you look at business? What do you see a business as? I'm curious.
How do I see business? What do I see a business as?
Yeah.
For me, especially at this point in my life, I see it as a way to provide. Like before, maybe I would look at it as a means to make money,
Yeah.
or a means to draw the clout of being a millionaire or any type of shit like that. But now I see it as like being able to have your kids want for nothing, being able to have your wife make a decision of homeschooling your kids
Yeah.
if she sees fit, being able to have your wife walk away from her job if she sees fit. The things that I actually want now in life. Like that's how I'm starting to view business more than anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see it as not just a means to an end, but a means to provide.
Yeah.
A means to kind of build the life that you want. It is the engine that can like run your life.
So you're talking as a business owner.
Yes.
As a person that owns it.
Yeah.
If you're in a business, it's something completely different, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're an employee, the game changes. It's completely different. What you described is very much an outlet for freedom.
Yes. Yes.
You are self-sufficient. You create this thing that is successful, like it works. It's bringing you income. You own it. You can bring people in to help if you want. You can take time off if you want. You can take money out of the business if you want, or keep it in if you want. You can do whatever. Like it's yours. But if you're an employee, and I think again that's goes back to school. What most of us learned in school was to get really good grades so we can get into a good university and we can get the best jobs. So you can work for someone else instead of working for yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And that's huge. That's really huge. I think that for them, you can't make a general rule and say everybody. That's kind of irresponsible. I think for the most part, most people should look for something that they enjoy and do it as a side hustle at the minimum.
Yes.
Because at least you're going to get some kind of A, income, but B, it's like self-actualization, self-expression. You can do something which is meaningful for the world and something that you enjoy. And I've always heard many successful people, they all say the same thing. Successful is in people that live a life which is not only like they're good at business, but they have a good family. They have a good connection with their children. They travel, like they're living the kind of life that they enjoy. They say that if you really have a good outlet, then for an adult, work is play. Like the same way a child thinks of play, it's the same as an adult.
True.
Yeah. So I think that's what everyone should strive. Most people should strive for.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course, you want to stay away from the word everybody, but it's like in an ideal world, like yeah, everybody. Most people should try and do that. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen both ends of it, right? Like I've seen my father just kind of be an employee, and then after like 25 years of working in a gun factory.
A gun factory.
Yeah, back when they used to actually do that over here. Jeez. But then they sold out to, I think it was like U.S. or China or something like that. Yeah, it was one of the two. Because one of my best friends, so funny, one of my best friends, this girl, Mallory, her dad worked at the same place, working alongside my dad. And at some point, my dad disappeared. But he'd been working with my dad the whole fucking time. And one day I'm hanging out with Mallory. She says my last name. And he goes, wait a fucking second. He's like, is your dad George? I'm like, yeah, my dad's George. He's like, holy fuck. He said, I've been working with your dad forever.
Wow.
So fucking, he was actually one of the reconnectors between me and my father.
Wow. So you say he disappeared, like he was gone from your life, like legit.
Yeah. And when I talked to my other siblings, Andrew included, just gone.
Wow.
We all didn't see him for about 9-10 years. Just kind of disappeared. But you know what? It's so hard. Like when I talk to people about it, but it's like it was a good lesson in manhood, man. Yeah. Such a good lesson in manhood.
How so?
It was like a blessing. It was like a blessing to see what a man could end up being like if they don't handle their business.
Yeah.
If they don't do what they're supposed to do, if they don't step up, if they don't, like him, he had like alcohol abuse problems, right? For me at the time when I met him, I was deep into marijuana. I was straight up addicted to it. So I got to see it. I was like, this could be me if I don't fucking fix up. You know what I mean? Whereas if he was good, I might have just stayed where I was, right? But because he was a little fucked up in that respect, I was like, this is partly me. Like, this is 50% me.
I get you.
And I remember at that point, I looked at him and I looked at my mom, entrepreneur, one of the first female bodybuilders in Ontario.
Ah, okay.
Up at 4 a.m. every day, work for 10 hours a day, come home, hit the gym again, like
Yeah.
just a go-getter.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta pick. Like I can be
Yeah.
like him or I can be like her.
Yeah.
And I just started trucking away at it. So if I never reconnected with him
Mm.
and saw that, I don't know where the fuck I would be.
Yeah.
Like it was a big thing. Like a lot of people, it's hard for some people to get, but that was a huge blessing. Huge blessing. Because sometimes if your father's like just mediocre, you might strive for that. You might hit a little lower.
Yeah.
But if your dad's like really in the shit, you're like, I gotta be better than that.
You can be.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that like, I relate to you a lot there because I had a similar experience with my dad. My dad was, so when he was young,
Yeah.
he grew up in the 1950s. When he was young, he was diagnosed with this disease called scleroderma. You know what scleroderma is?
No.
So scleroderma, I've seen it get really bad, and it really messes with your skin, and not only like the skin on the outside, but like your skin on the inside, like your internal organs and your heart muscle and
So like the flesh and
yeah,
everything.
and is the right word emaciated when you lose muscle,
Yes, I think
right?
so.
You lose all your muscle and it gets your like skin and bones basically, and your
Yeah.
skin gets all red. Like he was sick, and he was told in the 1950s by his doctor that he's probably gonna die before he's 20.
Fuck.
So when you're hit, like imagine your doctor's like, hey Colin, you're gonna die by the time you hit 18 years old. You're like, well, how do you handle that? Like there's a few roads you could probably imagine going. Like you could live the rock star life and go
all
fucking
out.
wild,
That was my
right? You might as well, you're gonna
first
die.
thought. Yeah. Fuck.
So, but he didn't die. And he's like, well, I'm still here. What do I do? And then he probably he was bitter with his doctor and bitter at life and angry and resentful and maybe self-destructive. I don't know what he went through as a teenager, but he lived, and he meets my mom in a bar. Great healthy place to meet your spouse. And my mom initially thought he was too young and rejected him, but he kept pushing for it, and they got together, dated, and all that stuff. Got married, and I found out later in my 30s from my mom that he never wanted kids because he had this disease and he knew that his life was like he was gonna end. Like, how can you be a good father when you're not gonna be there for your children, right?
Yeah.
And he was an alcoholic, man, like hard. Do you remember, like, how old are you? You're 30,
36.
36?
Yeah.
Do you remember back when we were young, did you ever get sent to the beer store to pick up beer or smokes for your parents?
No, because my mom's always been clean and my dad just wasn't around.
It wasn't there?
He always had it on him. He always had it with him.
Well, so my
Like,
dad
no
was
matter
sick.
what.
He had a problem to walk. Like, he would walk really
Okay.
slowly, and if he fell, like one time he fell outside the beer store and he could not get back up.
It'd be like a problem.
He had to shout for like a man. He was so embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
So my dad, he used to send me to the beer store back in like the late 80s, early 90s. Like, hey,
when you
son,
could do that.
here's a 20, go get a 2-4.
Yeah.
Go to the convenience store with my $5, buy me a carton of cigarettes. I was like a runner.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was not healthy, man. He drank a lot, at least a 2-4 beer almost every single day, sometimes more than that. And when I was a kid, he used to tell me things like, looking back at it, it's straight up emotional abuse. Like, hey, you see that girl over there on the street, Robbie? Like, she could probably beat you up. You're useless. Like, go do this. And he would like when he was drunk, he would push it on.
Yeah.
But he only hit me once, so I'm lucky in that sense. Only one time, and it was like a spanking, not like a smashing. So I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was, in some ways, I love him a lot, and I have a lot of respect for him. I think he made a sincere effort to prepare me to be a man for when he was not going to be there. But yeah, man, long story short, he died when I was in grade 9. I was studying for a grade 9 math exam, and it was like 6 p.m. And he's like, I can't breathe. I got to go to the hospital. So we call an ambulance. He goes to the hospital. And by the way, Scarborough General, don't go to Scarborough General.
Fuck.
Horrible hospital. They put him on a stretcher, a wooden stretcher, no cushion. They leave him in a room for 6 hours. Like, it was a little bit past midnight. Not one doctor had seen him. A nurse came in once in a while, but not one doctor had seen him. My mom is like, hey, we got to go. Like, Robbie back in the day.
Yeah.
Robbie's got a math exam tomorrow. Like, we have to go. And so he's like, come close. And he looks at me and he's like, you're the man of the family now. You're not going to see me ever again. This is going to be the last time I see you. You need to be the man of the family. You need to step up and be there for your mother.
Holy fuck.
And I start crying. Like, what? Are you going to die?
Yeah.
And my mom's like, oh, Bob, forget it.
Don't worry, it's good.
Forget it. Like, you're gonna be fine. And so she leaves abruptly. Next morning around 5:36 a.m. we get a call from the hospital. Hey, your dad had a cardiac arrest. So my mom is like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You ever been in shock? Like, I was in fucking shock.
Yeah.
Like the point where like you're looking at someone and you see their mouths move, but
Just
you hear nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are talking to me in the hospital. I walk in with my mom to the room where he was in. They have him there on the bed, man. And like when you're attempting to bring someone back from a cardiac arrest, like, you know, you're shocking them with the AD machine and everything.
Of course.
There's still a tube in his mouth and there's blood in his mouth and there's blood coming down of his nose. Like, he looked, I can't believe I saw that. I'm like 13 years old. I see my dad dead, and my life was forever changed from that moment. Like, it's still so vivid in my mind seeing that.
Of course.
And I guess I'm kind of glad that I saw it because it gave me that finality. Some people don't get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was tough to deal with at 13. I'm getting killed by these mosquitoes.
Yeah. Fucking yeah, man. That's fucking horrible. It's fucked.
So I got some other contributing factors on there.
It's the type of shit that you go through.
My parents were very unhealthy. We went to KFC. Like, you know, some families, when you do something well, like you graduate a grade, they take you on a trip or they give you a bike.
Yeah.
For me, it was like, let's go to McDonald's, let's go to KFC, let's get a cake, let's go Chinese food, like pizza. So every day was basically fast food. And when I see pictures of myself when I'm like grade 1 or 2, I'm good. Like, I'm a healthy, scrawny little kid, right?
Yeah.
In grade 8, I was 150 pounds before I hit puberty.
Yeah.
Man, I know a guy that competes in Muay Thai that's like 6 foot something tall. He's at 147. And he's ripped. I was 150 pounds and like 4 feet tall. And I had childhood asthma. There was a hill by my house. I would walk up that hill and get an asthma attack every single day after school.
Fuck.
I had to bring a fucking puffer.
Fuck.
So I was fat. I was, for a kid in that day, definitely you could call me ugly. I had no dad. My dad was also kind of like, you know, really, really focused on me doing well in school. I think that was him attempting for me to live the best life I could by putting that pressure on me young.
Exactly.
So I always felt like I was never good enough. Like, his nickname for me literally was useless.
Fuck.
And so I had this, like, I had a built-in fear of failure. I had this like massive pressure to get hundreds in school. So I was like a rather intelligent, studious kid. And top it off, in grade 9, I went to a high school where I knew like 2 people, and neither of them were my friend. So I'm fat. I had zero self-confidence.
I went through the same shit.
Yeah?
Same exact thing. I had asthma to the point where I had that thing on, you know, that little, it's like almost like a respirator. It's like, you put the mask on. I had to do that every day. Every single day I had to do that. If I fucking tried to run anywhere with my brothers, because like they were athletes, a fucking asthma attack right away. It would be like, fuck, come and get Colin. Like, they try and play Nicky 9 door. I fucking run half down the street. I was like, oh my God, my brother's gonna die. Hold on.
Oh man, you always got caught.
So fucking
Nicky 9 door. That was a good game.
Fucking, it was a great game. But yeah, I was fat, had asthma, and then my brother, my oldest brother, who was like my dad figure, because my dad was always gone.
Yeah.
He's 12 years older. He was like, you're not going to the same high school as everybody you've been going to school with. He's like, I'm tired of you being around those people. He's like, you need some diversity.
Yeah.
He's like, you've never met a brown person. You've never gone to school with a black person. Like,
oh,
you just been around white people your whole life. He's like, you have to have some diversity. Meet some other people in life.
Where'd you grow up?
Thornhill.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
Yeah.
I was Scarborough. I was the opposite.
Yeah.
I was, me and one other guy were like the only Caucasians in the whole school from like grade 1 done.
But yeah, man. So he made me go to this other school where it was like very diverse, Vaughan. And yeah, it was the same shit. I didn't know anybody and just kind of had to get along and fucking lose weight and make friends. But I was the opposite. I wasn't studious. I was fucking dumb as fuck. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I could not do anything in school at all. I failed everything. Failed grade 7, failed grade 8. And they just fucking aged me through because who wants this 350-pound black kid angry that he's failed this grade around all these younger kids?
Yeah.
So they just pushed me right through. Same shit. My dad was gone by that point. I mean, he disappeared around the time I was 8. So,
wow.
I remember last few times I saw him, I got assaulted by this guy who was like, probably our age now, maybe like 48.
Yeah.
He ended up, like, me and my friend were throwing a boot, and the boot hit him. He was gonna hit my friend. I stepped in, like as an 8-year-old, thinking I could knock out this grown man.
Yep.
But yeah, he caught me. He hit me a couple times, threw me on my my doorstep,
Ooh.
and then my mom saw, and she was like, she's a very hard Caribbean woman, so she was just like to my brother, she's like, go fucking get him, go get that guy now. So they went and got him.
Wow.
Yeah, fucked him up. Fucking. The police knew what happened, so they were like, we're no rush.
Yeah.
We're not going to run over there and try and stop anything. Like, we're just going to take a report from you and
Yeah.
you and you, and hopefully your sons are back home by that time, kind of thing.
Holy.
Because they were like, this guy's fucked. He just hit some little kid, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay, you had that going for you. That's all right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was one of the last times I saw my dad. He was just kind of like, we were driving through the street, and he's like, where's he live?
Yeah.
I was like, he's that guy right there. And then like 2 weeks later, the guy moved out.
Yeah.
Packed up and was gone. But
You ever
then
reconcile that?
reconcile with?
Yeah, like your feelings toward, like, for me, I was extremely resentful of my dad when I was young because he was sick, and like the last few years of his life, he could barely do anything. Like, I had to come back home after school. I could never hang out with my friends after school because he was sick and he needed me.
Yeah.
I had to go and get this and get that. Like, he could barely even get up out of his chair.
Yeah.
At the worst, like, he couldn't sit down on the toilet, and I had to hold a garbage bag under his ass when he shit in the fucking garbage bag because he couldn't get on the toilet.
Holy fuck.
Like, it was rough, man. And so I resented him. I wanted to go play and be a kid and everything. And I used to wish, like, I hope you die. I hope you die. And then he died, and I felt like,
yeah, right.
oh my God. Oh my God.
So true.
Yeah. So I was able to reconcile that, me being a kid and having regular kid feelings. But I think a lot of people, they don't ever reconcile their feelings towards their parents. They're always stuck in this, like, I was a victim mind, you know?
Yeah.
It's a mistake.
Yeah, it is. It is. I try to tell people, like, especially looking back, it's like your parents are just people.
Yes.
So looking back at him, and then, like, first of all, seeing how addicted to alcohol he was.
Yeah.
And then kind of having my own addiction where I don't want to see anybody and I can't fucking hold a relationship together.
Yeah.
And I can't hold a job. I'm like, oh, this is
You
what he was
understand.
doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not like I want to see my friends, like when I was completely addicted, but it's like, all I want to do is just get high and sit here. Like, I don't want to fucking see anybody.
Yeah, man.
It's like I would, but I don't fucking feel like it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that's what he was feeling, then I fucking get it completely. Like, I understood 100%, and then my mom, obviously, reconcile that easy. It's like, she was so fucking hard because it's like, I have fucking 3 sons.
Yeah.
And no dad around. So she had to be hard as fuck, right? To the point where she was a bodybuilder. She was literally hard as fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so she could put us in our places when need be. But
yeah.
So I've always come to terms with the way that he was. Because it's like, you're just a guy, and you're trying, and he was a soldier too. He was fucking, what are they called? Paratrooper?
You saw combat?
Yeah, I think so.
That
I think
explains a lot, man.
Yeah, exactly. Because back then, it's not like therapy and this and that. It's like, you're home, have a drink.
Yeah.
Have a drink. Have a drink for free.
Yeah.
Have a whole fucking night of drinks for free.
Yep.
You served. You did your thing, right? So.
Hey, did you ever have the real men don't cry?
I did. Well, I mean, my mom never said it, but there was always like, if I cry too much, it was like, you better fucking stop crying.
Got you.
Yeah. Or I'm gonna fucking start beating the shit out of you. At least that's what you feel like, like, I'll give you something to cry about, kind of thing. But I was yeah, I guess we're all exposed to that in a certain way, and you feel that no matter what, because, like, I was talking in another episode, I was like, the guys that you look up to, especially if my dad's not around, the guys I was looking up to are the guys who were just coming out of jail.
Okay.
They're on the block, they're back, they're getting girls, this, that. So it's like, even if you're not told real men don't cry, you see it.
Yeah.
Nobody's crying. Nobody's talking about their emotions. Nobody's giving in that respect. Nobody's being vulnerable in that respect. So it's like, you want to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
You want to be the fucking apex. You want to be the fucking alpha.
Yeah, man.
So it's like, you're definitely not going to fucking start crying about shit.
Yeah.
And I got into that real early. I mean, I started smoking weed when I was 11, and I started selling it by the time I was 14.
Wow.
And I mean, I was robbing people, fucking people up, and going to school with no books and just a crowbar and shit, and just fucking getting it in, just robbing people as much as I could, just because I didn't want to have to ask my mom for money for clothes.
And now I'm in here in the forest all alone with you. Shit.
Yeah, man. Lifetime ago, man. Like, you know, you want to be the hard fucking guy. You want to be that guy. You know. Yeah. And when your dad's not around to tell you, hey, stop fucking being like that. You know. Or who knows what he would have told me if he was around. I have no idea, right? So.
Yeah, I grapple with that even still to this day, because like, so as a man, you look up to other men that you want to be like. It's very natural.
Exactly.
And the first person you're theoretically supposed to look to is your father. And if your father is not around physically, or they're dead or whatever, like you start asking, like, who am I going to look up to right now? And I think often you look up to the people that are immediately around you. And I guess I understand why you look up to those guys.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough because, so my dad was very stubborn. And like I remember one day I learned that smoking was bad. And so I came home and I took like construction paper and crayons, and I put no smoking signs around the whole place. And my mom thought it was cute. My dad comes home and he's pissed. He rips them all down. He shouts at me. He says, "Don't you tell me how to live my life. Like, I'm the dad, you're the son. I tell you what to do."
Yeah.
And so I learned at a young age that, okay, this guy is doing something wrong. Like, you know, all due respect to people that smoke cigarettes, you know, when you're smoking 5 packs a day and you have a child in your house and you don't care, like, come on, man. Like,
man. It's fucked up.
take some responsibility, dude. So I kind of got this idea very early on that when I grow up, I'm going to have an open mind and I'm going to do things which are good for me. And so when my dad passed, well, first of all, I was crazy depressed. Like actual depressed.
Yeah.
None of my friends understood. No one around me ever had their father die.
Of course.
My mom knew because my mom's dad actually died when she was 9.
Fuck.
Which is kind of messed up because she ended up marrying a guy that also
And then
died. It's like repeating a cycle or some kind of karmic stuff going there.
Yeah, right?
But she was broken, man. She was done. She didn't want to talk about anything. She went to like bingo every single night. She wanted to watch TV. That was her way of coping, and she was like that for 2 years easily.
Wow.
Whereas me, I was the opposite. I'm like, I need to understand death. What is death? And I went on this whole campaign of studying every religion known to man. Like, what do the Christians think? What happens to you when you die? Is there a real God? What about the Jews? What about the Muslims? What about the Hindu faith? I went on like with the New Age Terrence McKenna fucking DMTLs shit. Like, I went everywhere, and I came to a conclusion at when I was like 15 years old, which is an immature conclusion,
Of course.
that there was nothing. It was all pointless. So fuck it. And I remember thinking, like, well, you know what? If all life is like everyone's gonna die and it's all full of sadness, then I should kill myself. And so I started thinking, like, well, how am I gonna do it? Should I drown myself? Well, that would suck. Should I shoot myself? I don't have a gun. So one day after, like, my mom was working. It was a summer. I'm 14 years old, home alone in the summer, and I'm thinking of ways I'm gonna kill myself. And I come up with this way. And looking back, it was like so fucking stupid. I'm gonna take the biggest, sharpest knife we have in the kitchen.
I fall on it.
And I'm gonna tape it to like a piece of wood, and like whatever, do it so it's stable on a 45-degree angle, and I'm gonna like jack myself in the neck. And so I'm thinking, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna hurt. I'm having like second thoughts, and then I hear hello, and my mom comes in the door. At that moment, she came home early from work, and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm hiding everything, and right then and there, I'm like, I have something to live for, because I was embarrassed. If I really wanted to kill myself, I'd be like, hey mom, I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
You know, I was embarrassed, and I realized like I have something to live for, and that's my mom.
Yeah.
I got to be strong for her.
Yeah.
And through that, I came to the next conclusion. Well, if I'm going to live, then, you know, who am I going to be? Who am I going to be like? And I picked 5 people. Miyamoto Musashi, a fighter at the time named Frank Shamrock.
Okay.
Yeah, and some other people. And I picked them, like, what are they doing? I want to be like that. Bruce Lee is another one. Like, all these tough guys, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Rocky, you know, was a movie star,
Of
right?
course.
And so I'm like, oh, this is who I want to be. Well, I have to get in shape. I have to be tough. And my buddy at the time, a Sri Lankan guy, I think he was Sri Lankan. Anyways, his name was Shubash. Much respect to Shubash. He got me into Muay Thai. And like like no word of a lie, martial arts changed my life. I'm so lucky I found martial arts at
Fuck.
that age. People talk about sports being good for keeping troubled youth out of the hood and everything.
Yeah.
Martial arts is better than regular sports, man, because it's a way of living.
Yeah.
Not
True.
only like fighting, but martial arts.
True.
Any kid that's in a really rough place, who's young, has no male role models, get yourself into a good martial arts gym and hang around with those guys. They will change your life, man.
That's really true.
Yeah. Your brother changed my life a lot of ways too, even at 36.
Really?
Yeah, he said something to me once. I had a second fight coming up, and I messed up my toe. My toenail completely ripped off, and I didn't know what to do. I went to the hospital, and the guy's like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" I'm like, "I don't know. I've heard that you can stitch it back on." So he stitches it back on. I'm in like constant pain. I'm training for this fight, and Andrew says to me, "Hey, Rob, you're not gonna like what I have to say, but like, it's only a toe. It's only a toe." And I'm thinking like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's only a toe. My toenail's ripped off. It hurts. But then he tells me, back in when Muay Thai was like, at its peak, you had the highest trained guys were the King's Royal Guard, and the king would be on an elephant, and all the royal guards would be walking beside, one of the elephant's feet. And he told me, if the king falls, the kingdom will fall. So those guys didn't care if they had too much to drink last night. They didn't care if they had a blister on their foot. They would be warriors, and they would handle anything, and they would fight.
Yeah.
And boom, right away, that like any pain was gone. I'm training. I'm ready for this fight. Like, so people that are in martial arts, man, no matter how old you are, there's always there's this aura about them. There's this, even if it's not spiritual, like they have this kind of natural understanding of strength and how to apply strength for any situation in life.
Yeah.
That they'll say these things at the right place at the right time, and because you're surrounded by them on a regular basis, like you're in a healthy environment.
Yeah, yeah.
So
nobody turns to you and says, nah, you don't have to do it like that. Everybody's just like,
yeah, man up, handle it. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah. True. Fuck. That's wild. It's only a toe.
It's only a toe. It's only a toe, Rob. What are you talking about? You're right. Damn, okay.
Fucking yeah, fuck. That's like a lot like David. I think David Goggins has said something very similar. Like I think it was the same thing. Toes off, and he's like, it's just my fucking toes. Whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, just wrap it up and fucking keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, if I lose it, he's like, whatever.
Yeah. Right. He's extreme. Man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He doesn't fuck around.
No.
Yeah, man. It's funny you say that. The top 5 guys, and it's nuts. It's nuts. That's how you came to the realization. That's fucking.
So I still have that actually.
It's a turning point.
I call it my imaginary council of mentors.
Yeah. I call it my digital mentors.
Digital mentors?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll call it like when it comes to like Zig Ziglar or like Jim Rohn, like I'll be like, those are my digital grandfathers and shit. Because I've never met any of my grandparents.
Yeah.
So I'm like, those are like my digital grandparents.
Damn. No grandparents either.
Shoot. No, because I saw my dad's mom once. And it was just like quick, because like my mom and dad were in such bad straits when I was like super young that it was like the visits were very sparse, and my dad was the way he was, so it's like it was here and there. So I met her one time, and I remember she was just like, you know who I am? You know who I am? And that was it. Like that's all I remember. I was just in a car with her. She's just hugging me and stuff, doing what grandparents do. And then I met my mom's mother once, and she was like just hard, spoken very deep patois. And I could barely understand anything she said. She wanted nothing to do with us. Like she came to visit once, and she didn't care to talk to us or see us or anything. She was just like, whatever, these fucking kids. Right. So it's like, yeah, but the grandfathers, I've never even seen them.
Yeah.
I've never even seen what they look like.
So a part of your life is really like finding out like who you are.
Yeah.
And also you get, it's interesting, right? It's in some ways it can be very, very difficult to grow up without having a lot of family around you, because you're looking up to all the wrong people. But at the same time, if you can overcome that and you can be mature, it's so freeing, because you're almost limitless. Like you don't have any like family norms that you have to abide by. You can be yourself.
Yeah. There's definitely none of that, because it's like I saw my mom doing shit, but she's not the type to intervene at all. With shit. It's like, you're not going to school, all right, you're gonna fucking fail school. Okay. Watch what happens then. Yeah. You're gonna fucking drop out, all right, well, we'll see what happens then. Yeah. And it's like, when I fucking dropped out, she's like, well, now you gotta get a job. Yeah. Look at that. I remember I was like 15, me and my brother in the house, not doing much, and she's like, hey, I'm not buying food anymore. So, wow. It doesn't fucking grow on trees. Yeah. She's like, so fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
And we were like 2 days went by. My brother's like, is she really not gonna buy food? I'm like, I think we're fucked.
What did you do? Did you get a job?
I try like I didn't try. Fucking, I was
Well, you're
dropping out
selling
of
weed, right?
school. I was selling weed, and then fucking the school was like, we're gonna get you a job. They're like, because we
Wow.
don't want you in school anymore. Like, we don't want you there. Like, we know what you do. We have cameras. We can see what you're doing. We
Well, that's a
know
great
what you're-
educational environment. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah, basically. So they were like, we want you like to get a job, and we'll give you credits if you just stick with the job. And it was like night shift at No Frills, and I couldn't fucking stick with it. I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this job. I'm like, fucking selling weed and fucking. And
Oh
I
my
would just
God.
go to school. I would still go there. I would just go there. I'd either rob somebody or buy like a bunch of weed and go sell it and this and that. Like,
Yeah.
I just didn't give a fuck. I was like, whatever.
This still in Thornhill?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You were robbing some good people there. You guys were-
That was the thing, right? It's like you rob somebody, they fucking take more bar mitzvah money, they go buy whatever they gotta buy. It was like,
Oh my God.
it was easy pickings.
I shouldn't
as
be
they
laughing
call
at
it.
this, but it's kind of funny.
It's life, man. It's life. It's the life that I had going.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Wow.
that was the first job, and then it's like, weed would be here and there because I was already developing a habit, so I'd smoke too much or this or that. So it's like I would try and get jobs. No Frills.
Mm.
Shout out to Mike Drodge, because he would always fucking give me a job. I just walk in
Okay.
and be like, yo, you got anybody? He'd be like, come tomorrow.
Hey.
And he was just like,
That's good.
fucking, yeah, he didn't give a fuck. I left like 4 times, and he would just always have me back. He'd be like, fuck it, come on.
Yeah. All right.
He'd be like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, he was a great guy.
Damn.
But yeah, I was just working these shitty jobs. I remember being in that job, and fucking the first time when the school put me there, and it was night shift, and I didn't know how to prepare for night shift, so I was just like living normally, and then all of a sudden you have work at 11, and I'm up for like fucking 20 hours,
Yeah.
I remember I was walking the aisles, stacking shit, just fucking crying like a fucking baby, because I was like, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this. I know I'm not supposed to be
Yeah.
living this kind of
Yes.
life and working this kind of job. I'm like, I know I'm not like, there has to be something better. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And it was like, it was so hard. And then slowly the digital people started to arise because I had my phone,
Yeah.
and slowly YouTube started uploading, and people were uploading things, and slowly I found like a Howard Stern interview. And Howard Stern's all like, I knew Howard Stern because my mom loved Howard Stern. My mom loved Howard Stern, but then all of a sudden I found his interviews. I started listening to those, and like you listen to like Samuel Jackson, he's talking about like being all fucked up when he was younger, and you listen to John Candy talking about being an alcoholic and
Yeah.
trying to get it together, and I just kept hearing about all these people who people would look up to and how fucked up they were.
Yeah.
And from that I started to I was like, I like this. I'm like, I like interviews. And I started
Yeah.
searching up on like top interviewers in the world. And Howard Stern was there, of course, and
Larry
Anderson
King.
Cooper and Larry King, and then slowly, because I would check this list all the time, Joe Rogan
Rogan. Hell
popped
yeah.
up. But it was early Joe Rogan, right? But there weren't too many captivating interviewers in general. So I started listening to his podcast. I swear he was still like maybe triple digits,
Yeah,
maybe
man.
like low hundreds.
Yeah.
And I started listening to his shit, and slowly I was like, I want to be an interviewer.
Got it.
I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do that, but I'm like, but I want to interview people. I'm like,
Yeah.
I like uncovering this. And ever since then, it was like, if I could fucking help out one person that was like in my situation with like an interview or something, it's like,
Yeah.
it's fucking worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was where the digital mentor started, and slowly I found Eric Thomas
Mm.
when I was like 19, I think 19, 20.
Well, it's a great
And-
age to get into him.
Yeah. And then, like, what happened first actually is my buddy shared a motivational clip, and I was like, I've never seen a motivational clip. What the
Yeah.
fuck is this? And then slowly, because if you're searching motivation, you're gonna find Eric
Yes.
Thomas eventually, right? So
The underwater one.
yeah. Bad as you want to breathe, exactly.
Yes.
So fucking yeah, man. I fucking found him and started listening to him all the time, and I got another job. My buddy Nigel, my brother Nigel, because there's never been a day where I don't remember him, where I don't remember my brothers. Like, it's just one and the same. He's always been there.
Yeah.
So I always call him like my brother. But he was just like, yeah, I can get you this job. He's like, I'm working at this factory, and he got me the job. And I was listening to Eric Thomas, so I was busting ass. I was
Yeah.
fucking working hard as fuck. And and we all have our path, but they ended up letting him go and keeping me. They're like, we're gonna bring you on permanently, and then
Damn.
they let him go, and he was like, fuck.
You
man.
outshined.
Yeah, I was like, I was going hard. I was like, yo, I'm fucking like, I'm motivated, right?
Yeah.
I'm listening to fucking Eric Thomas all the time.
Yeah.
And fucking from there is one of the deepest experiences. I had that same feeling again. There was a guy, and he was being racist. He wasn't really being racist to me, but it was like to all of us in general. And he was just kind of yelling about how all these fucks should go back to where they came from.
Yeah.
So obviously I was in the mix of that, and I remember, somebody wanted me to file an HR report, and I was like, fuck it. I did it because I was pissed at this guy, and I'm like, this guy shouldn't be able to do this to these guys, because these guys, one guy was Sri Lankan and couldn't really speak English, such a good guy. Other guy was Afghani, and he's just escaping that whole fucking world.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck that. He shouldn't be able to be like this to these guys. So I did it because they were too scared to, because they didn't want to get let go. But I was like, fuck it. I've worked so many jobs already. I'm fucking like 21, 20. I'm like, I can get a job. I don't give a fuck. And I'll sell fucking weed if I have to. I don't give a fuck. Back up. Yeah, like I was always doing it. So I was like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. But the jobs helped me look better in my mom's eyes. I didn't want to look like a piece of shit all the time. So I would work just to look good for her, right? And I remember, again, back to the crying, because I remember leaving and I'm like, I shouldn't fucking be in this situation. Like, this shouldn't be my fucking life. I'm fucking working in a factory. I'm busting my ass. It's a madman shift, which is fucking, you work days, some days, you work nights, other days, you work afternoons. And I'm like, what the fuck is my life? I'm like, this is going to be like this forever? I'm like, fuck. And yeah, I was listening to Eric Thomas and just crying the whole way. It was all the way in Aurora, and I lived in Thornhill, so it was a 2.5 hour commute. Whole way, I'm just fucking crying. And then I get home, I go to my workout, because working out's like a staple in my life already. It's a staple already. I remember I was trying to do push-ups, and I just dropped it. I just started crying, and I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, things have to get better. Yeah, have to get better. Yeah, they have to. And slowly from there, I started expanding my skill set. I started realizing I need to be able to do more than just lift shit in the factory. Mm-hmm. I have to be able to think, do some thinking type tasks. And yeah, I was just going after it. I really wanted like a sales job, because, selling weed, I became better at face-to-face interactions. Like, I was a very introverted kid for a long time. I was funny, but I was very much didn't like interacting with people. But slowly I was like, I can fucking do sales. I sell fucking 2 pounds of weed a week. I can fucking do sales. I'm like, I have a fucking client list of 100 people. I'm like, I can fucking do sales. Yeah. And and then my buddy Hank, who was good enough, he worked at Kudo, and he's like, I'll get you a job. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't have a resume for that shit. He's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, make some shit up. He's like, you have 2 phones. You be your own reference. Hey, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I got 2 cell phones because I'm fucking selling weed, right? So I make myself my reference. He ends up squeezing it, getting me the job. And from there, I just started expanding my skill set. Just learning how to be proper, learning how to just fucking do things right. And just from there, it just escalated. And I started learning how to type, because for the first time, I had a computer in front of me all the time. So anytime I wasn't doing sales, I was trying to practice typing. Yeah. And then it just expanded more and more. I was doing a hell of a lot of mushrooms at the time. Doing mushrooms quite a bit, as many as I could get at any time. So I was just expanding my mind and my heart, and just going after shit. And then I got a job at Rogers, and then I became like a call center person. And from there, it started to flourish. I was I had the concrete experience now that I can do more than just work at a factory. It's been 2 years. I'm doing shit. So from there it's just gradual. Still had my ups and downs, but that was the starting of me changing as a person. Yeah. And the biggest part was my buddy Hank. If I didn't have him around, he's like my brother too. If I didn't have him around, I would have I would have never believed in myself. Because he's just one of those guys that would just be like, yeah, you're really good at this. He's one of those people who will he'll give somebody their props if they're good at something, And he was one of the first people to be like, yo, he's like, when you talk, people really listen. Yeah. And he's like, you have this kind of leader quality about you. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Fucking, we're just selling phones here. He's like, yeah. He's like, but when I try to do what you do, they think I'm an asshole. Yeah. When you do it, they like it. They're fine with it. He's like, you have more authority. He's like, you're an authority. He's like, you should use that more. And I was like, at first I thought he was crazy, but years later I was like, this guy's fucking right. Yeah. People actually do listen when I fucking talk. And
it's got to be sincere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that kind of feedback. You know when someone's propping you up and it's propped up on nothing,
Yeah.
hot air. But when someone's doing it sincerely, you're like, oh yeah, and you really think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and it comes back.
Yeah.
It doesn't just like, it's not just for the moment. I just kept thinking about that. And I kept seeing examples of it. And yeah. From there, it just, life changed. Life changed. It was a combination of the mushrooms and actually busted my ass and Eric Thomas and Tony Robbins and all that stuff, you know?
Hey.
Hello.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of Tony Robbins and this very topic, he has a belief that like the negative will change someone more than a positive. And he says that like most people have the experience where they say enough is enough. No, I'm not accepting that anymore, and they make a change.
Yeah.
And you talked about it in one of your other podcasts about I think you call it burning bridges in war.
True. Yeah.
In The Art of War by Sun Tzu, they talk about burning the boat. So you sail off all your soldiers to war, and you say, all right, guys, boats are on fire, no going back until they're crushed.
Yeah.
Now go fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there's those times where you burn the bridge, you burn the boats, and there's no going back. And the hardest thing is to do that when you're comfortable. Like for you and me to do that right now and say, absolutely not, I'm not accepting this life anymore. People think of you like, what are you, spoiled? Are you an idiot? What's wrong with you? You got all the best things. No, but like you have to keep yourself moving forward. There needs to be some kind of like a mission.
Yeah.
You know, if you have like no mission, nothing you're gonna campaign a battle for, what are you living for? Like, you can be happy. You could be sitting under the bridge right here and you could meditate like Buddha and you can be happy.
Yeah.
You can be happy with nothing. Like happy is a state of mind, but like, you know, to do something with your life that is meaningful, that makes the world a better place, that's a life worth living.
Yeah.
That's something worth fighting for.
Yeah, exactly.
So like this interview that we're having right now, if even one person that was like in the place that I was when I was 13, 14 years old, if one person listens to this and is like, you know, those guys, okay, fine, I'll jump into a martial arts gym. Worth it. Completely worth it.
Fuck.
You know, one life is worth so much, man.
It'll change shit, man.
Yeah.
It changed shit for me. It definitely, like podcasting in general, like podcast interviews, fucking changed everything. It was the only school I could do. Because at the time I didn't know because of our education system, but I'm an auditorial learner.
Oh, okay.
So if I hear shit, and like if I hear shit, like I'm somebody where I can listen to a podcast. I did it yesterday. If I listen to a podcast, it's 3 hours, and before it ends, the minute I just pull it all the way back and I listen to it again.
Yes.
Because it's just like I'm just able to do that, and then I remember that, and then it just becomes a part of the facts that I know in my head. It's fucking weird. I do it all the time, but that's the way I learn. If I hear something, if I'm seeing something, I'm like, that's not gonna go away.
Yeah.
But if I have to write it down, I'm fucked.
And do it. And do it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's why working out came so easy to me. I could literally just watch my brother. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I just never forget. Like I can go through whole P90X routines just by memory.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. If you just say, okay, chest and back, okay, I know what to do. Because it's just something that just takes. I don't know what it is.
Man.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Let's get off this bridge. I'm going to get burned.
I forgot about that.
I got a disadvantage, man.
I forgot you're white. So much Scarborough in you. You know, fucking back to what you said about Scarborough General. My dad, same thing, man. He fucking went because he had cancer. That's how he ended up passing. He went there and he was like, there's something wrong. He's like, I can barely walk. He's like, I feel like there's something fucked up. Like there was a impingement in his neck.
Yeah.
And so he fucking walks there, even though he can't walk. So he grabs like a cane of some kind and fucking just trudges it and just fucking gets there. And they send him away.
Oh my God.
And he's like, nah.
Wow.
He's like, there's something wrong. He's like, I don't know. He's like, there's fucking something wrong. So he comes back and they look into it more and they're like, oh yeah, you have a tumor here. That's why it's keeping you from walking, because it's like right next to your neck near your spine. And that's him just being persistent in that sense is what kept him alive like longer. You know what I mean? Or else he just would have stayed home. He just would have went back home and been like, okay, I guess this is how it is now. Looks like the street's coming up. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm gonna head back. Hey, I have so much to say for the idea that, like, even if you're a victim of something, you know, like let's say you got cancer. Yeah. You're a victim of something that's really hard to control. There are, you know, lifestyle factors that you can control, but sometimes it happens. Like my wife and I recently came back from the funeral. my wife and I recently came back from a funeral, one of the hardest funerals ever that I had to live through. 10-year-old girl passed away because of cancer. 10 years old. And the family, like, man, I can't even imagine what they must be going through to lose a child.
It's my worst fear.
It's rough, eh? Like not being there for your children, or even worse, like when your child. So my dad passed. My grandfather, his dad was still alive, and he died 6 months afterwards. Like he went from okay health, boom, dead.
Yeah.
It crippled him, man. Like to see your own child die, it's hard. So
hard.
like the idea that you have to be your own advocate. You can't trust what a doctor is going to tell you, even though they're highly trained and they went to school, because they're coming from a doctor point of view.
Exactly.
You go to a doctor, then you go to a physiotherapist, then you go to a naturopath. You get all these people, you hear all their arguments. Even better, you get them to fight one another, and you get some kind of semblance of what's going on. Like you have to take so much responsibility for your health.
Yep.
No one else is going to do it for you. Everyone else is getting paid. Like one of the disadvantages of being in a capitalist system, I don't advocate for communism at all, but one of the disadvantages of being in a not perfect system like capitalism is basically everything that you're going to do as a service is in some way, shape, or form income oriented. So they want to see you again. They want to have you come back for another visit, or they want to perform their operation on you. But they're trained in that one little aspect. So yeah, at the end of the day, like if you're not responsible for your own life, then no one's going to do it for you. No one at all. Even if you're a victim, you cannot afford to let yourself walk through life with a victim mentality.
Yeah, it's so true. I had to do that with my doctor. When I found out, I was like, it's like a high sensitivity to like gluten.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And it really fucks me up. It makes me feel like really fucked up.
Yeah.
Almost like I'm high. Like thank God, like
bad.
Yeah. It makes me feel like I just smoked a blunt like 3 hours later. Like I just feel fucked. So I go to my doctor and I'm like, I think I have a problem. And she's like, no, you're fine. She's like, wheat's part of the standard diet. She's like, you need it. I'm like, I need it.
Exactly.
I'm like, I do? She's like, yeah. So she's like, you can stop a little bit, but she's like, you should take it in at least every few days. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, I feel really bad when I'm on it. Like, I feel really bad. She's like, yeah, but it's a standard diet. Luckily, I go from working in a factory. I buy all this camera gear from a guy that I'm working with in this factory. And I decide that I can probably start video production.
Okay.
And the first gig I get is working with naturopaths.
Ah, cool.
And functional medicine practitioners. So I start telling them. They're like, you don't need wheat. They're like, who the fuck told you that? Like, need wheat? She's like, what? No, you don't need any. You don't need it.
Yeah.
It's like, if you feel better without it, don't have it.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as I figured out what naturopaths were and everything like that, I started. If they owed me $1,000, I'd be like, listen, pay me $400, and the other $600, give me tests.
Yeah, treat me.
Give me stuff.
Smart move.
So they'd be like, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
They had no problem with that. They give me GI stuff, this, that. And then all of a sudden I find out I have a fucking sensitivity to it.
There you go.
Like a large one.
Yep.
To the point where I should probably just stay away from it. Yeah?
Yet it is is it still, when you look at the food, the Canada Food Guide, at one point in time it was like, eat 12 servings of wheat every single day. Sure.
Yeah, what company paid for that, right?
Exactly.
Fucking crazy, man. I guess, what else did you, I remember you brought up like 3 stories that you wanted to get into. I know one was your father.
Yeah.
I think we hit them all. What is that?
It's a well.
Yeah.
It's an old school well.
But yeah, is there anything else there?
Yeah, man. There's one that I think that if anyone is around like 30 years old, 40 years old, maybe 50 years old, that's kind of pushing it. I think this might resonate with them. So it's been really common in, I don't want to be around this nasty well.
Yeah, right? Who knows what the fuck's in there? What kind of gnats are in there?
So in our kind of Americanized Western society, people make fun of midlife crisis a lot. You've heard the whole like midlife crisis jokes always happen. Sorry. So people make fun of midlife crisis all the time, and the thing is, it's like if you have all your intuition and all your gut telling you there's something wrong with the way you're living your life and you're not happy, something is missing.
Yeah.
Like, don't you think you should respect that instead of shove it down or ignore it?
Yeah.
Like, it's a sign. You should look at that sign. Same like you're driving on a highway and it says, hey, turn here, or there's a cliff coming.
Yeah.
Well, turn. So instead of making fun of it, I wanted to share a story. So you usually ask, I don't know if you're going to ask this afterwards, but I kind of crushed that question. You usually ask, when is the time that you feel most vulnerable as a man?
Yeah.
Well, I got an answer for you, buddy. It was at about 1:30 in the morning when I came home from a long day at work. And it's about 2019. And my daughter was about 3 years old, 4 years old at the time. And one of the things she liked to do is she has this little like unicorn costume.
Okay.
And sometimes she'd wake up in the morning and she'd come out as a unicorn.
Of course.
It was so funny, right? So cute. So she's sleeping in this thing, man. I come in from a long day at work. Like, my wife is asleep, my daughter's asleep, and she's in this friggin' unicorn costume. And she looks so cute. And at that point, like, I talked about the beginning of how I got involved in my business, but I didn't talk about the end, the security game I was in. Security is a different animal. Like, when you're a high-level manager in a security organization with a few hundred people, you are on call. Like, I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. Christmas doesn't matter, funeral doesn't matter, birthday doesn't matter. Like,
Of course.
if there's an emergency, you need to be available. And people would call me sometimes at 1 a.m, and I had to be in contact like through every single day of the week.
Yeah.
I had to check emails. If there's an emergency, I had to stop. Like, you can end up having your whole life devoted to your work in that kind of industry.
Of course.
There's a lot of advantages to it. Like, I'm not talking poorly about it, but when you have that level of responsibility, as I did, I saw my daughter on Tuesdays at 6:30. I went to go pick her up, and I would be the guy that took her from her grandparents back home to get ready for bed and go to sleep. So I was always the bad guy on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I didn't see her on Monday. I maybe saw her on Wednesday, maybe saw her on Thursday. I had made a commitment to martial arts. Like, I did not want to get martial arts out of my life. So Fridays I would go to the gym
Of course.
after work. Sometimes I couldn't even get there on Friday because the work would last so long.
Yeah.
I would go pretty much every Saturday. And my wife, she was working at the time and on Saturdays. So it would be me and my daughter on Saturday. And then Sunday, and you can imagine in that kind of life,
Yeah.
well, I got nothing done around the house. I didn't do any renovations, right?
Of course.
I have chores to do. We got to go grocery shopping. We got to do the laundry. Got to cut the grass. Like, it's all work on the weekends. No, hardly any family time. And if you did prioritize family time, well, then all the important, necessary stuff, like, you'd have no food.
Yeah.
So you gotta pick your priorities, right? And so the time I felt most vulnerable as a man was that night when I came home. I'm looking at my daughter, and she's 3 years old, and I realized I had barely had any memories with her, hardly any. And at that time, I was going through a health issue, which I was pretty concerned about. My wife, as you can no doubt imagine, was not too happy with, the way things were going in that life. I hardly ever seen her husband and all that, and so it was really hard. And in addition, on that exact same day at work, one of the reasons I had a long day was because some people that like, they were my employees and they were supposed to have a performance test from the client. They failed bad.
Okay.
And as a result, I'm their leader, so I was the one that had to take the heat.
Of course.
Who should. And so it was like such a big failure day. I failed at work. My health was I had a health issue. My health was kind of failing. My wife was not, like, as a man, was like a traditional leader of the family. You want your wife to be happy.
Of course.
Even as not a leader of the family, whatever, in an equal family, like, you want your spouse, your partner, to be happy.
Of course.
And you know that the most valuable thing in the world is the memories you're going to create with your family. You cannot take anything with you, but at least you can create some good memories.
Yeah, exactly.
And she didn't even like me, man.
Yeah.
She didn't like me that much. And so I realized,
Didn't like that you.
no.
That person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? What the fuck am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this? Like, yeah, I've got good income coming in. I'm like a hotshot manager, whatever. Not worth it. I have to leave. However, um, I'm a very loyal individual,
Yeah.
and I decided to say something. And then when I was gonna say something like, "Hey, I need to leave," I found out that the owner of the company was gonna have a child. I'm like, "Oh man, really? I can't leave right now. I can't leave."
Because you gotta have him be there for his kid.
Yeah, and like so we had been together since like 2003. It was a very close knit, 3 people
Yeah.
that were instrumental in building this organization. A handful of others, but like we were friends. And so I put loyalty to others above loyalty to myself and my family. And uh, ended up that after finding that he was going to have a child, a contract that he was looking to get since like day one, way back in the 2000s, we had this great contract coming up.
True.
So I'm like, oh man, I can't go now. So I stayed even longer.
Fuck.
So I ended up from 2019 is when I decided I had to leave. I ended up leaving in June of 2020. And I realized a lot of things in that time. And one of those is that even though you might be friends with someone, when you are in employer-employee relationship, their friendship is different.
Yeah.
Like the balance of friendship is different. Because like, let's say I'm your friend, I'm gonna tell you, hey Colin, you see that thing right there? Like, it's so good for you, man. You should do it. You should get it. It's gonna help you.
Yeah.
If I was your employer, I might see that and think, oh shoot, well that's really good for Colin, but that would not be good for me. So if he sees it, he sees it. I'm not gonna encourage him.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't believe I was the victim here. I think it was a failure of my own to prioritize my loyalty to my family above my loyalty to my friends.
Yeah.
But I did that and I made a mistake. And again, that's one of the reasons why I really strongly believe that every man, and again, I'm speaking to men here because I think personally that men have this innate need for self-sufficiency.
Of course.
They want to be able to do it for themselves. They want a challenge, and they want to know they can do it.
Yeah.
So do it. And the second that I started my own business, like the freedom, the feeling of freedom was so powerful, man. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
So that's when I felt the most vulnerable, being there, realizing that my life path was sending me on this road of being like the dad that never shows up to my girl's baseball game and is never
Yeah.
there, an absent father. Like, I did not want that. No. After what happened to my dad, I want to be there for my family.
Yeah. Fuck. Man, that's a hard realization, and it's a good lesson for guys that it's like it could be going good and you still got to look and say, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
most guys will just take those golden handcuffs and just fuck it, ride
Golden
it out.
handcuffs. So true.
Yeah, right?
Golden handcuffs. Yeah.
It's like they're great, but they got you shackled.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's that's a hard realization. I mean, I'm coming to the same kind of thing. I'm starting to realize that, especially as I get closer to actually building my own family with my wife.
Yeah.
Like, I've already moved away from the film industry because I was working 17-hour days, 2-hour commutes. It's like you're not around, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I already moved away from that, trying to just find something better. But then, yeah, just too much loyalty. Too much loyalty, and just mixing the friendship with business will just fuck you if you're the right person.
See, I think that's also something that you learn if you're hanging around a bunch of people that are relatively poor.
Mm.
Like, most of my friends growing up didn't have that much money,
Of course.
and a lot of them had broken families. But
Yeah.
what you learn, loyalty.
Yeah.
Like, you don't you don't break that line with your brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Came up together. You know what I mean? Like, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's why I always, I value my relationship with my buddy Hank a lot, because even though we have that, because we both came up together, I mean, he was at a point where he's not shy about it. It's like he had no clothes. You'd have to steal clothes. We'd have to sell weed. We'd do all sorts of shit to just get by.
Yeah.
Even though people think all Jewish people are rich, it's fucking
No.
not true, man.
No.
Fucking, he had to come up and fucking, but there's never any of that shit of trying to put himself ahead of me. It's always very genuine, sincere, like, maybe look at this, and it's never to his benefit.
Yeah.
It's always to the benefit of me, because he wants to see me do well. And same thing from me to him, right?
Yeah.
Relationships like that are fucking valuable. Because I felt it the other way, where somebody is trying to kind of have you in a place,
Yes.
keep you there.
Yep.
And once you realize it's happening, it's fucking hell.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time, like you're saying, you can't blame them,
If you see it,
right? Yeah.
if you're lucky enough to even realize that it's happening.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've been manipulated. Have you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So much. I'm only just coming out of it. I'm 36, and right now I'm at a point where I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not fucking happening anymore with
Yeah.
anybody. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to admit, but like, yeah, I've been manipulated plenty of times because I want to help. I love helping people.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
It's like the best feeling in the world to me, to know that I'm helping one of my friends or even somebody that I don't know. You know, it's such a great feeling.
Yeah, and then they set the trap. Hey, Colin, I need your help with this. Can you help me out? And yeah, you do it. Oh, and this thing too, and this thing too. You know what? I'll do that for you, but a bit more. Eventually, next thing you know, you're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
I was taken advantage of here. That's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And life is not fair, but at the same time, in your relationships with others, if you see things are not, it's not a fair exchange, then either say something or be done with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Don't accept it.
Yeah, man. So that's yeah. I hope every guy listening learns that lesson, because yeah, it's hard, man. It's a hard one to come by. I was talking to you about it before. Like, it just, yeah, it's a rough one, because it's like you realize that you're being a little naive, so it's like a humbling experience. It's vulnerable at the same time, and
Yeah.
and a little bit emasculating when you if you want to look at it a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, one man taking advantage of another. It's not the best look for you as a man. You know what I mean?
I guess so, man. I don't think you can get too hung up on that, though. You know?
Nah, you can't. But it's like it's there. It's like it's a bundle of things. Like, when you first realize it, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was being punked almost.
Yeah. Yeah. If anything, it should at least piss you off to the point where you decide enough is enough, and you figure out the game.
Well, I'm really lucky because I have my wife,
Mm.
and she makes me her highest priority. I make her my highest priority.
Yeah.
And once I had that in place, that's why your priorities are so fucking important to have in place.
True.
Because then shit like that can't happen to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put somebody above my wife, period. Like, I've already learned that. That's never happening. Never, with anybody.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Do we have much time left?
Yeah, of course.
So you've been talking recently about God.
Yeah.
And specifically like the Christian faith, yeah?
Yeah.
So to put it out there, like I'm neither a atheist nor a believer. I'm open.
Like,
I don't know.
It's like agnostic, I think it's called.
I guess so.
It's like you believe that there's something, but you have no idea what it is.
No, I don't necessarily believe there's something. I'm open to the idea of there being something.
Yeah.
It could be. There could not be. Who knows? There's kind of a little bit of evidence for both.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was young, and in school, in public school, they had the Lord's Prayer. Do you remember that?
Oh, I grew up in a Jewish area, so there was none of that in my
Got it.
school. It was all Jewish kids in my school, so we didn't have any of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'd be kind of weird, eh? Like, you're converting the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So in public school, they had the Lord's Prayer. This is like the early 80s when I was in kindergarten. And I didn't like, what? Who is Jesus? I don't know this. Who's Lord? Because my parents never raised me that way.
Mine either, yeah.
My dad went to church at one point, and so did my mom. I remember going to Sunday school, but I never liked it. I didn't understand it. Because my parents didn't want to push religion on me. They wanted me to find out for myself what to believe.
Of course.
And so anyway, when they took out the Lord's Prayer, I was so happy because I didn't have to say something that didn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking back now, the Lord's Prayer was replaced with a vacuum.
Mm.
Before, there was the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated yourself.
True.
There was love thy neighbor, which is huge, man. Love thy neighbor. Think about all the shit going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
All the hate, all the divisiveness in politics.
Of course.
Love thy neighbor. The one about Ten Commandments knowledge is not that strong these days. Don't commit adultery and all that stuff.
Yeah, don't covet your neighbor's wife and all that. Don't murder and all that.
Don't be
stuff.
jealous.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
There's so many great values, and that was replaced with a vacuum of nothing.
Yeah.
And so my daughter, with all this like anti-racism stuff going on, my daughter, she's in senior kindergarten, and the teachers message us one day, and they say, "Oh, you'll be so proud. You'll be so proud of what we learned in school today. We read a book. Ask your daughter what she learned." So, we're like, Kara, what did you learn in school today?
Yeah.
And she says, well, I learned that a long time ago, all white people hated all black people.
Oh, wow.
And I was floored. I'm like, so, first of all, that was the very first time she ever referred to herself as white. She was always like peach or kind of like, I don't know, creamy or olivey.
Yeah.
Now she became a white person. And now people that, like some of her best friends, she used to go to the gym. She used to go to our gym,
Of course.
martial arts gym. Some of her best friends always had like brown skin or chocolate skin. Now all of a sudden it's white and black. And now all of a sudden she's on the evil team. And yes, like racism exists and did exist in a very horrible way. But it's not true that everyone hated everyone.
Yeah.
What the hell are you teaching my child? I was pissed. So pissed. And man,
Man.
I don't think that you should push religion on people. But there was something there with the Lord's Prayer, with there were values that were shared by an entire community.
Yep.
That are now no longer there, and every teacher can insert their own ideology for what they believe.
Yep.
And it's creating this kind of weird mosaic. Yeah, there's some advantage to diversity. Yes, you need diversity, but you also need some unity. It's a dichotomy.
Yeah.
So I wanted your take on that, since you've been talking a lot about the Christian faith lately.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like the Lord's Prayer in like schools, I never experienced that, but that would have been cool to like kind of learn that and learn those values, because I grew up with like no values. It was like, you know what I mean? Like no real hardcore values that everybody around me believed in. And I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood, so they're very to themselves. So it's not like I was exposed to their religion.
Yeah.
You know, of the whole their commandments and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been great. But I mean, the vacuum that you're talking about, we see how that's taking form now.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're talking about with your daughter. I mean, my buddy has a daughter too, and some of the stuff she comes back with is wild, you know? And like you said, it's this one teacher said this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he gives his daughter a drink and all of a sudden she goes, no, this teacher said we can't drink this.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm your dad. What the fuck? What are you saying to me?
Yeah.
Why are you telling me what somebody, like, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there is a lot of value in it, man. Like I'm in this Christian men's group, League of Lions. Shout out to the League of Lions, ran by my buddy Joel, and we sit down every Thursday, 8:00, 8:30, and we talk about the Word, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting around trying to convert anybody, and neither is he actually. Like the guy, he's always grown up in the church himself, but he just loves God, and he just loves the teachings of it, and the stuff that they teach you. Like when you, especially as he breaks it down, and when you break it into like playing speak, it's like the Bible was like the first motivational self-help book. Because he's talking about things like we were talking about like planting your seeds in good soil. Like there's a passage about like good soil, rocky soil, soil with no nutrients, and like only planting your seeds in good soil, because in good soil, as long as you keep care of it, that's where you can grow and actually experience the fruits of like what you're trying to grow.
Yes.
And it's like, if you put that into mindset terms,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, you don't sit around with, like you said, you don't sit around with a bunch of people who are do nothing type people.
Yeah.
You know, your seeds can't grow in that. You don't, lay with women who maybe have zero interest in anything. You know what I mean? Like what kind of seeds are going to come from that?
Yeah.
You know, protecting your garden. Same thing as protecting your mind.
Yeah.
Protect your mind. Make sure your mind's strong. Make sure the fences around it are strong.
Yeah.
That way, everything that you're trying to grow can grow.
And you reap what you sow.
And you reap what you sow, right? So it's like a lot of it's good, man. Like I was baptized and everything, and you know my dad was Christian.
Yeah.
He was the one that put me through the baptism and everything when I was a baby. But at the same time, I've only gotten real exposure to God and Christianity the past maybe like 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe 6-8 months since I got sober, completely sober for the first time.
Good for you.
Thank you. It's been fucking arduous.
I can imagine.
But man, it's all good stuff. Like me myself, as I get into this mind frame of having kids, I have no problem having them know these teachings.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't like when people get too crazy, you know, and maybe refer to somebody else as a different religion as like a non-believer.
Yeah.
Which I've met some people in church who do that, but like for the most part, like for me, it's just a way to improve. Like it's just a way to improve your mind. When you read about it, it's like you say with martial arts. It gets you into this mind frame. There's a bunch of people who believe the same thing, and it's like this community of like strong-willed people. When you get around some like church people, some good-hearted church people who aren't like, you know, shitty, man, it's nothing but good teachings. Yeah. Everybody's just trying to steer things in the right way. Yes. You know, nobody's looking down on anybody. Everybody's trying to push themselves up. You know, in our men's group, we have a bunch of guys who got sober, came out of jail, stuff like that, and everybody's just trying to hold each other up. Yeah. Some guys will come forward and be like, yo, man, I fucked up. I used the other day. I don't know what happened. I got caught up with this, that. Everybody just comes through. All right, man. Fucking, it's okay. Yeah. Just tighten up. You know, some people, me, myself, I'll hit people direct messages, you know, kind of give them some words of encouragement. Like that's actually really huge. You know what I mean? That's really huge. It's fucking amazing. Because usually if you don't have, so another thing that was kind of removed is this idea of a community. Like every Sunday you go to a church. Yeah. Like if you don't like agnostic or atheist or whatever, where do you go? You go to the gym? Yeah. It's good, but it doesn't replace this temple of like existential discussion. Yeah. Or you know, what is the meaning of life, or how should I behave in these situations, the moral law, the moral code. Yeah, exactly. And the stories are fantastic. Even if you read it as like a children's book, the Bible is wicked. It's so good. It is, man. There's a lot to it. They're like when you learn certain things and you learn how certain people were, it's the same thing as when I was listening to those interviews of those famous people and being like, oh, Samuel L. Jackson was a drug addict. Yeah. Like I didn't know that. Like as you start learning little things in the Bible, like, you know, like Paul was like a very blunt person who spoke out. He was very outspoken. You know, like he was a loudmouth basically. Yeah. You know, certain people were prostitutes and this and that and this and that, but they all came together and became better. Yeah. You know? There's a lot to learn, man. Like I'm still learning. Like I said, I'm young in that whole thing, but there's just so much to it. And then for me, the main thing is prayer. Mm-hmm. Even more than the men's group. I mean, the only reason I got into the men's group is because I started praying. Okay. Right? Like when I got sober, like the day that I wanted to get sober, I was like, I'm going to go a day without smoking weed. And then I lasted maybe fucking 2 hours after waking up. So I'm fucking, man, that's not good. I'm high as fuck. I'm smoking a joint, crying, driving home to my now wife, which I don't want to make her part of this shit. Yeah, to be married to somebody that's like this. Yeah. So it's like I get home and I'm like, I remember I was driving and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I need help. I'm like, I need fucking help. I don't know what to do. And I just went to her and I gave her all my credit cards, gave her my debit cards. Wow. And I said, like, I can't fucking be trusted. Whew. And she was just like, don't worry, it'll be all right. You know, I deleted all my credit card information off my phone so I couldn't buy anything. Wow. And then I just started praying to God. Jeez. And I've been trying to quit weed as a habit since I was 17. Yeah. Because I knew it was a bad habit. Yeah. Like I know right from wrong, you know? Yep. And I know when something has a hold of me in a negative way. Yeah. You know what I mean? So this time it was easier than ever. When I started praying to God, when I felt like there was this power that was helping me along, all of a sudden it got easier than it's ever been in my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then literally a few days later, fucking I liked something that my buddy Joel posted. We hadn't even been in contact for years. We just met once and just had each other on Instagram, just like us. Yeah. I liked one thing. He was like, yo, you know what? He's like, I got this men's group. He's like, I don't know if you want to join. It's exactly what I needed. Started talking with those guys. Got even easier because I saw people in my same position that were having it just as hard, you know, getting through things. It was just perfect. Everything just got easier and easier. And now I'm fucking sober, completely clean. I don't even think about fucking smoking weed now. I don't think about doing any drugs. Yeah. It's It's the best I've ever felt, you know? First time I'm actually able to move forward and fucking do things properly without quitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah, when you're addicted to it, it's like a crutch, right? Like you
it's
think
a crutch
you need
for
it.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if it's not helpful, you do it because of whatever reason.
Oh yeah, your mind. Your body will tell you that you need it.
When you pray, it's really you're expressing what you want, what you hope your life will be like.
Yeah.
But it's a repetitive thing.
Yeah.
You probably pray once, twice a day. You pray as a group.
Every morning I pray. At the men's group, definitely we open with prayer.
Together.
We end with prayer. Yeah.
And you share your wants with other people.
Yeah, of course.
That's huge. How many times do you speak your goals forth unto other people?
Yeah.
Like,
so true.
Hardly ever. I have my goals. It's a rule of mine. I always have my goals on pieces of paper at random spots around my house, in front of my mirror, in my kitchen cabinet, everywhere.
Yeah.
No matter where I go, I know my goals all the time.
That's fucking big.
But it's different than speaking it forth to others.
Of course.
Because now you're setting it out there.
Yeah.
Right?
You're
It's
putting it
inspiring.
out there. Yeah.
And other people can help you.
That's the thing, right? You'd be surprised who can help you once you start putting it out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my coach has said it to me. He's like, "Oh, you're a life coach. You don't tell anybody." He's like, "How the fuck do you think that's gonna work out for you?" he's like, "Let me know. Let me know how it works." But it's like you got to live an intentional life. Like even just a reference to my buddy Joel, he was like, "Yo, I got to start on TikTok."
Yeah.
He puts it in the group. I go, "Okay, what day?" He's like, "Oh, what day?" I'm like, "Yeah, give me a day." He says, "Okay, June 30th." I say, "All right, everybody, June 30th. This guy's gonna be doing fucking TikTok dances for everybody." And we all laugh, but then when it comes close to the day, it's like, "Yo, you ready?
Yeah.
You're gonna
be real now.
You're gonna do this, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, all right, you know."
Yes.
Or if I put something out there, same thing. I put out there that I want to stay sober. You know, somebody will send me a direct message every once in a while. You used? No, I haven't.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
You know,
That's
like,
big, man.
It helps. That's why I want to start a men's group myself. Like this one is Christ based, but I want to make one that's like improvement based. You know what I mean? Because not everybody is into that, right? I don't want to push that on anybody. But yeah, that's why I want to start one up, because it's huge for men to just get together and just talk. Because like in this Christian men's group, we don't just sit and talk about the Bible all the time. The first like 20 minutes is us just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you getting to? What are you doing? How's it been? How's this been? What's been going on? Like, you know, we just talk with guys, right?
Yeah.
And that's and sometimes in those 20 minutes, that's when the most gets revealed.
True.
Right? Because now we're getting comfortable. We're able to get vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know? It's huge for guys to be able to do that. That was the point of that's why I call it open brother. Because it's like, I want guys to open up.
Yeah.
You got to open up with your brothers.
Yeah.
It's open brother, like open source. Like an open source program. You can see everything under the hood.
Yeah.
It's like you should do that with one another. You know?
That's so needed right now.
Yeah,
so needed right now. Especially the community aspect.
Yeah.
A healthy community, man.
Yeah, it's huge, man. That's why I'm trying to do the best I can with what I got, you know? Maybe one day I'll have a fucking guy here and he's walking backwards when I'm doing this, but
not a question.
For now.
It'll happen.
For now we do it like this, you know, like just get it out there for people.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah. I didn't even get to the questions. I knew I wasn't gonna get to many of the questions I didn't even read everything you wrote. Because I saw what you were saying, and I'm like, I don't even want to like spoil this for myself. Like, I don't even want this prepared for myself.
Okay.
Like, that's why I just wrote 100. I'm like, definitely share 100%, because it's the biggest stuff, man. But I do remember one question. What was the time you felt the most like a man?
The most like a man. Oh, dude. Okay, I got one for you. So I was 36 years old.
Okay.
And I was having that midlife crisis we spoke about. And one of the things that I was doing that time was I was going harder into martial arts, because I knew there was something in martial arts that I didn't do. And I never fought before. I had trained since I was 13. And at one point, like when I finished high school, man, I took a year off before going to university. And I went to gyms and I trained for like 6 hours a day. Jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, backyard, anywhere. I trained hard. I really wanted to do martial arts. So anyways, I never fought. I had a few opportunities, but for whatever reason, they fell through.
Okay.
And I'm like, I need to do it. So I told my Muay Thai crew Fresh, Alton Douglas, and crew Andrew Cummings, and I told them I want to fight. And they're like, all right, if you want to do it, do it. So there was a tournament coming up, And I had a mortgage. I had a massively responsible job. I had a child. I had a wife. I had all these things going on. And here I am. I see myself at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm skipping rope in the gym alone. And I was training like almost every morning. That was the only time I could get some training in.
Sick.
And I did the fight. Judge's decision. I lost. Whatever. I won in my mind. Like I did it.
Of course.
And by the way, to be clear, I'm not saying that I won the fight and the judge did the wrong guy. I'm saying me doing the fight, I won.
It was an accomplishment. The brain loves an ending to things. It loves to understand why we're doing certain things, you know, the reward part of it.
And the whole time I was thinking, like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What does it mean? Like, what does it mean for me? I could not do this. I'm 36. I could get seriously injured. This is why. And I didn't have an answer to that question, even when I fought. But in doing that fight, and deciding that no matter what was going to happen, I was going to accomplish this thing, it set into stage the idea to me, I need to stop this. Like, I need to stop. Looking at my daughter that one night, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but doing that fight, it was like, I can accomplish so many things. All it needs is hard work and belief and confidence. And the day that I left was June 30th. The very next day, it was Canada Day or Independence Day.
Yeah.
I was actually independent.
Yeah.
I was doing my own thing, and I found out we were gonna have a son. That's when I felt most like a man.
Wow.
That moment, dude.
Oh.
That moment. And what's even more fucked up, my daughter comes out of her room the same day, Colin, the same day, and she says, "Mommy, Daddy, I dreamed we were gonna have another baby, and it was a boy." And I had a son. It was a boy. The universe smiled on me that day.
Wow.
Wow, it was messed up.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. Like, you stepped into it. When you step into response, I was listening to this rabbi, and he was talking, and he's like, so many people, they pray for more money. They pray for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's enough money for 10 people. He's like, it's just you. He goes, why would God or whatever give you enough money for 10? It's just you.
Yeah.
He's like, step into a situation where you need to provide for 5. So you'll be able to provide for 5.
I like that.
He's like, step into a situation, provide for 4, you'll have for 4. He's like, but it's just you and you're asking for all this shit?
Yeah.
God's looking down like, I gave you enough. You're
Wow.
good.
That's really good. I like that.
Right? Like, fuck. It's
I
so
like
true,
that.
man. Even now, as we're on the verge of trying,
Yeah.
you know? It's so weird telling people you're about to try. You're basically telling people you're about to fuck, right?
Yep.
But like, you know, we
They
want
know you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I'm having the same kind of thoughts. I'm like, am I going to be able to provide? Am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
You know, like, is it all going to work out? And, you know, my
Yes.
wife's always there. She's like, you didn't even think you could do this. Like, live in a house with me and be married and provide this way. She's like, when it comes, you're going to be able to.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that in my head, but just as a man, you just keep having that thought, like, I want to be able to do this. I hope I'm able to do this. Like, I have to be able to do this.
Yeah.
I have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no putting the kid back. There's none of that shit.
Well, once you take that have to and translate it into will, and once you
Yeah.
take that should and translate that into must, you know, and you don't even give yourself the thought of what if I fail? No, you will. Like, there's always gonna. Come on, like, unless you're severely handicapped and unless something really bad happens, like, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And even if something really bad happens, like, as long as you're a good person. I was having a conversation about my daughter about being homeless, right? And when I was younger, I worked in a homeless shelter. And all due respect to many people who are homeless, oftentimes people are homeless because they don't have any friends. No one takes them in.
True.
Like,
True.
don't you have anyone you can go? Like, no, you've screwed up all your relationships.
True.
So as long as you're a pretty good guy, like, help will find itself to you.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be fine, man. And anyone that has those thoughts, I had those thoughts. I wanted to have a kid. One of my biggest regrets is not having a kid earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Not a 16-year-old pregnancy or anything.
Yeah.
But like 25, 27, I was always in the mindset, I'm gonna wait until I have a house. Okay, I've got a house. I'm gonna wait until I have X amount of income. Okay,
Yeah.
I've got it. I'm gonna wait until, no, do it.
Yeah, man.
Kids will bless your life beyond belief
Yeah, man.
if you only let them in.
100%. Like, when you wrote that to me, I was like, I've had that realization forever. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have kids with the women I was with before, but
Yeah.
you know, like if I could have just jumped right into it with the woman that's my wife now,
Yeah.
whew, we've been together like 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Like I wanted to do that right away, but you know, you just want to make sure. She wanted to get married, of course.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, I got to get a ring, and you know, I fucking loafed it on that, and you know, like, but like now it's like this need like I got to do it. Like we got to do it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it just keeps popping up. Like she was, she was like I was going to talk to a client, and she's like, watch, he's gonna tell you to have kids, because it's like with me, like God, the universe, whatever it is, when all of a sudden I start thinking about something, it starts popping up everywhere.
Gotcha.
And I'm talking to this client, and all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, but sooner than as soon as possible, you should have kids.
Yeah.
Like we just got into this talk. I didn't even bring it up for me, but he's like, you should definitely do it. You'd be a great father. Everybody I talk to is like, oh, you got great father energy. You got to go do that. Like,
Yeah.
So, and then her dad, he was like, when you do it, that's the right time. It's like when the kid comes, that's the right time. There's gonna be no actual right time, you know, because I brought it up with him because I wanted to. I don't have my own dad to talk to this type of shit about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I brought it up with him, and he's like, yeah, he's like, it'll be fine. Just get it done.
At this age,
Sooner or later.
if you're 9 years old, that's probably a wrong time. But
yeah, man, so true. So, what's the time that you felt the least like a man?
that was at 1:30, coming home, looking at my daughter in a unicorn costume, realizing that my life was on the wrong path, and all these things that I was wanting to do were actually leading me in the opposite direction. No doubt, that was the moment.
Really?
Yeah, no doubt.
True. Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a very hard one. I couldn't imagine that because I've already taken the steps, and like again, thankfully I have my brother.
Yeah.
Who's like a father figure, but he was going to join the force. He wanted to be a police officer, completely able-bodied, amazing shape. But then he figured out the hours.
Oh.
And like how much he'd be away.
Yeah.
And he was like, nah, no chance. Just want to be around for my kids.
Yeah.
And that was always a big thing for me. Like I think of that all the time. Like I got to be there. I got to be in a situation where I'm there.
Yeah.
More than the average father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the extent that you get to be there now. You know what I mean? Like
I am every single day for a year, and actually my son is a year and 16 months yesterday. I've been every day.
Man, that's the best. That's the best. The best example. The best. Fuck. What time is it? What's your watch?
1:19.
Oh, that's all right. I'm gonna ask some more questions.
All right, let's do it. I like to prepare, so when you ask me these questions, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know. Take me for a loop.
Yeah, that's what they're meant to do.
Okay.
That's how real conversations go, right?
Yeah.
I'll even pick a random one. When it comes to dealing with emotions, how do you go about it?
Breathe. First, breathe. So I have a. This is kind of weird. Imagine a cube. Okay. Imagine a cube.
Yeah.
On the right side of the cube is negative emotions.
Mm-hmm.
On the left side of the cube is positive emotions.
Okay.
On the front of the cube are active emotions. On the back of the cube are passive emotions.
Okay.
And if you think like, how do I want to be emotionally in this situation? You have to. So that's why I breathe first, and I think, what emotion am I going to choose for this situation I'm in? Usually, if you think of that cube, I visually imagine myself in that cube, and I turn it so I'm on the positive side and the active side, because I like to be enthusiastic and get things done. So I bring myself like, oh, okay. And I ask myself, what would an enthusiastic person do right now or feel right now? What kind of thoughts would someone have if they were energetic and positive?
Yeah.
And also, if I have a hard time getting out of it, I think, how am I right now in this moment? Where am I in that cube? What am I feeling? What would I need to believe to feel this way? And usually, if it's a negative and a passive emotion, I realize like, this is stupid. This is bullshit. Why am I choosing this? This is a waste, and it's not going to help. And so you choose that other side of the cube, and I visualize myself like elevating,
Yeah.
climbing up towards a positive corner up there.
Yeah.
that's usually how I hope to handle my emotions. But
True.
we're all
True.
human at the end of the day.
Fuck.
Mm.
That's real. That's really good. You are a coach, bro. That's a coaching method. It has to be.
I stole that. I combined it off of a few people. I combined it off of a psychologist. I combined it off of Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
and I combined it off this. There's an app. It's called Universe of Emotions.
Okay.
Last I checked, it was free. You get on your phone, and it's like stars, and you
Okay.
can navigate to all these different stars and read what the emotions like. So I used to only be able to define like 5 emotions. You know, my happy, sad, angry, or whatever. But once you start learning, like, there's a lot of emotions out there.
Mm.
Oh, well, I'm going to choose to be this one. And also I told you I have my goals everywhere on my house.
Yeah.
I also have this sheet. It's called Master of Emotions. And I put that in one little spot. I call it my Hall of Kings. I go into my Hall of Kings. And I look
Yeah.
at all my goals and my imaginary counselors and mentors and all this stuff. And I focus on that one sheet. And on that sheet, I have a list of like 12 of the emotions that I want to feel all the time.
Yeah.
And a list of emotions that, like, hey, if you're feeling that, be careful because it's probably unhealthy. And so I remind myself of that. And there's also a whole bunch of questions out there, like, what are you grateful for with your body? What are you grateful for with your mind? What are you grateful for in your life, with your wife, with your children? So I attune myself to gratitude, and
Wow.
I trap myself in positive rather than negative.
Wow. That's incredible. Yo, that's actually really big. Because it's very visual. Like, I like that aspect because I've been doing that for years, putting stuff up on walls and stuff, whether it be quotes or, like, for a long time it was like the meaning of integrity. Like, I would just take the
Ooh.
meaning to like big words that like we don't
Yeah.
really look into. I would see it all the time, and that way it's like you're in a situation and you're like, is this okay? There's no integrity here.
Yeah.
I'm not operating with integrity here, you know. So that's huge. That's actually a really good thing to do.
Do you know the Egyptian mystery schools?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
So the Egyptians, as far as I know, with all the stuff that passed on now, the Egyptians were freaking cool with knowledge.
Of course.
They had the priest, the high priest, that had all the knowledge, and they wouldn't let anybody come and get it. Like, you had to demonstrate integrity. You had to demonstrate kindness. You know the Egyptian, the Book of the Dead. When you die, you go and your heart is weighed on a scale, and if it's light as a feather, you ascend. But
Yeah.
if it's
Heavy.
not, you go to hell and you have to fight your way through the underworld.
Wow.
Yeah, so you need a light heart. No evil, right? So the priests, they would guard that
Wow.
knowledge, and they, like, imagine being like 10 years old and you can't read and you can't write yet because you haven't demonstrated that you're kind enough for the priest to teach you. And when you went to
Wow.
school, in Egyptian school, like, if you look at the Temple of Luxor or the Valley of Kings, like, you
Yeah.
see these big gigantic sculptures and all the hieroglyphs, all of them they have such deep meaning. You can't look at an ankh and think life. Like, you have to meditate on life. What does life actually mean? And
Yeah.
growth. And when you start really, getting deep into that, the knowledge kind of comes to you. So I stole that and I call it my Hall of Kings, like the Valley of Kings in Egypt. So I walk in there and I'm there. You can't not be in there for 20 minutes and not leave feeling better,
Wow.
more attuned.
That's wild. That's actually such a good practice. Such a good practice. Fucking
Thanks, bro.
I would I gotta plan this out better next time.
You want me to hold something, bro? There you go.
Fucking hold on. Let me just get this.
There's
Then
a lot of questions here.
yeah, right? Alright, well yeah. What do you think men should be doing more? Yeah, I like that one for you.
What should men be doing more? I think men should be asking themselves, what kind of person am I going to be and who am I going to be, instead of what am I going to be in my life? Am I going to be a father? Am I going to get a job? Am I going to be an accountant? No, like those are very unhealthy questions, because you can't be an accountant. It is a vocation. It is something that you do in order to earn income or to help the world. But who are you going to be? What kind of, like, living with integrity? I think more men should definitely live with integrity. To say what they mean what they say, and do what they say they're going to do. I think that people, men especially, I think that there's this instinctual drive for challenge, and especially for young men. Maybe not older men. Older men, they're more like counselors, right? They advise the young, and I hope older men would do that more, because the young guys, they definitely need it.
Yeah, man.
Especially guys like us who grew up without fathers, and you without grandparents. Like, that's rough.
Yeah.
So for young men to channel that energy somewhere positive, there's so much waste out there. Like, how long can you sit and watch YouTube? How long can you listen to, like, 4 hours of Spotify? How long can you sit on that idea and wait and wait and wait until someday?
Yeah.
Like, go out there and do it, but have the courage, channeling your courage into asking for help and meeting, other people, men or women, that are comfortable to help them, to ask for help more, and don't be embarrassed about not being perfect. No one's perfect.
True. That's a big one. Let's walk that way. There's a bench over there. But yeah, man, that's a huge one. That's a very huge one, just because, yeah, we don't do that enough. We don't ask for help. We don't look for counsel.
Yeah.
There's nobody around to do it. It's so much dog eat dog type of shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we just did that more, we'd be so much better off. I know I am. Every time I've humbled myself and asked for help, it's been there in fucking spades.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you can just ask somebody, as soon as you can open up, even before you ask, if you can just open up to the fact of, like, I need help.
Yeah.
I don't understand this and I need help.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it comes out of nowhere. Like, I made that one video of, like, just recently, I'm like, oh, I didn't make my 2-mile time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I fucked up. I got to reach out to some people. Also, my buddy, who's like a serious cyclist, he went from fucking tearing his ACL to like this Saturday, he's like, I got a 215-kilometer race going on. And he's like, I'm trying to place. And
Good
like,
stuff.
he's serious. Fucking, all of a sudden, he just says, hey, this is what I would do. This is what I think you should do. Try this, try this, try this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know better, but, give it a try.
Yeah.
And it's like, that just comes out of nowhere. And I know my next step is obviously to ask Andrew.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know I'm going to have like all sorts of help there.
No doubt.
Right? So it's like, I'm just, yeah, man, asking for help. And the counseling. The counseling definitely doesn't happen enough.
Counseling, yeah. Shorten this thing up now.
Yeah, why not? Let me just go here. Oof, the hands. This fucking shoulder workout.
Can imagine.
Yeah, man, that whole walk like that, jeez. So what aspect of manhood needs to be rekindled? So it's like
to be rekindled.
Yeah, doing more is like one thing, but like what needs to be rekindled that was there before?
All men. Okay, not all men. That's again, but almost all men have their balls clipped, because you're all like, okay, what do we see as normal? Like, is normal all the stuff that your grandparents bought into? They were sold, man. Like, they sold them the idea of cigarettes, and they sold them back then. Like, yeah, here's a kid. He's smoking cigarettes. He's cool. It's fun. No health problems. The parents, yeah, I'll smoke. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. Next thing you know, people are dying left, right, and center of cancer.
Yeah.
And their kids, like the baby boomer generation for us, they grew up with their parents smoking. They think it's normal to smoke. People should smoke. Next thing you know, it's you're actually a little bit of a rebel, if you're in high school and you don't smoke.
Yeah, right.
Like, who the fuck are you? Why are you not smoking, you son of a bitch? Like, get on the fucking cool crowd over here. Or even the idea that you have to buy like a car. Why do you have to buy a car? Why do you have to live in a big gigantic block of cement in the middle of the city? Like, you can live anywhere in the fucking world. There's some people that move to Fiji. There's some people that move to the Thailand, where like the Canadian dollar can go miles.
Yep.
Like,
Fucking
don't
right.
be trapped by other people's thinking. And when you live life as if everything you see in front of you is normal and is the way it should be, and you question nothing, you become a drone. So what needs to be rekindled, back in like the pioneer days, when people came over here from God knows where, they moved to the middle of nowhere, they made a farm, and they made a house. They built it with their goddamn hands, and they lived there for generations. And they raised their own fruit, they raised their own vegetables, they handled the harvest. Yeah, a lot of people died, and it was rough. But in this day and age, you have modern medicine. Like, you can live a pretty damn good life, but it's that matter of self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Men lost their self-sufficiency, and so many of us are reliant. Like, if you're an employee in an organization, your entire financial livelihood depends on you impressing one guy, maybe two, your direct manager and the owner. You don't impress them every single day, you're cut.
Yeah.
How is that a way to live? There's no manhood there. And when a man lives with that kind of stress every single day, no wonder you feel like less of a man, because you're relying on others for your survival.
Yeah.
That's not manly.
Yeah. True. True. Yeah. I've felt that many times. Not feeling manly because of that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Even just the sense of like, even the sense of my wife having to go to work, and then listen to some other man, like makes me feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Like now, like it's like fuck.
Yeah, it's the have to thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the have to, like, okay, no, it's not the have to. It's the have to do something that you don't really want to do.
Mm.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. I don't want to use a trigger word over here, trigger words in safe space. But that's, to me, I use the word drone, but you can think of it as like a slave mentality.
100%.
Like
100%.
Like you're doing something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
It's the worst feeling, man. It's the worst feeling.
Yeah, and when you channel that, like what you're doing right now, you're doing something that you enjoy, you want to do it. One day is going to be a successful, flourishing business, and you're doing this thing that you enjoy that helps people, and you can make a decent living out of it.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
When you learn some building skills, when you grow a garden, it doesn't have to be anything major. Like you can't do everything, but if you have a few people in your life that are out thinking the same wavelength as you,
yeah,
you're good. You're golden.
Very true, man. If you like, as you were saying that, I was thinking like, could you like take like 10, 18-year-olds from like the 1800s
Oh my
versus
God.
like a bunch of like quote unquote grown men right now,
Yeah.
and what they could do? It would just be fucking different, man.
You got married at 13 back then, eh?
Right? The 18-year-olds would be like, we're gonna build right here. Who's gonna stop us? We'd like to see somebody try.
Holy.
Like, right? Like, oh man.
My grandfather lied about his age. He went to World War II when he was 16.
Fuck, eh?
Yeah. All his brothers went too.
Wow.
16 going to war. World War II, no doubt.
Holy.
Jeez. But the wars back in the 1800s, they were rough, man. You had to get close. Real close.
You had to get close. And even if you did survive, if you got like fucked up in any way,
yeah,
just the remending of you that would have to happen.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And the ancient medicine.
Yeah.
They bite down on this and drink this whiskey. We're gonna cut your leg off now.
Yeah. Fuck. Oh man. Woo. Different type of people, man. No, I don't. Sorry. No, man, yeah, it was completely different. And also thinking back, I just saw a statistic. It was like I think it must have been like early 1900s, maybe even like 1920, probably like 1900s or something like that. It was something like 97% of everything that people ate, they grew themselves.
That's self-sufficiency right there.
Isn't that fucked?
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
It's right. It's right.
Right? Oh man.
We are fucked. This way of living is fucked. That's why it's not working. Like when COVID happened and everyone's like, okay, there's a plague, there's a disease, it's not good, but I'm with my family. This feels right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right?
Going to a grocery store to buy food from, I don't know, Ecuador, it's not normal.
Right? Oh my gosh. I've always thought that. Like, what if they just shut them down? And we almost saw something like that, right?
Yeah.
When it first happened, how everything was getting cleaned out.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, there's no meat today. It was just like, or like at the time, she was my girlfriend. She lived in Stouffville. I was in Thornhill, and she had to buy meat because there was meat in Stouffville, but there was no meat in Thornhill.
Yeah.
Like, just crazy stuff. And she'd have to like come and bring me meat. I was like, what's about to happen right now?
Yeah, imagine the concern that you feel. Well, you know it. You know the concern you feel. But if you can grow it yourself, all the farmers are laughing.
Exactly.
Ah, suckers.
Exactly. Even like all the farmers are laughing, not even to the extent of they get the business. It's like we can survive.
Yeah.
If anything goes down, we're fine. We know when to grow, how to grow, everything. Yeah. And we have the muscle to do it.
You know that song Country Boy Can Survive?
No.
Song?
No.
Matt Hughes, a UFC fighter, used to come out that all the time. Country Boy Can Survive. Yeah.
Man. Oh, jeez. Crazy. So that's a big thing. You're definitely right about that. The slave mentality. For you, what's the most difficult part of being a man?
The most difficult part of being a man in my life right now, where I don't have a a typical life is knowing that I am responsible for everything. Everything. And if in my old life, yeah, you have some responsibilities. Of course, no doubt. And you have to meet them, otherwise you have some concern. But if other people, like if the owner of the company or if the other people in that company, they were kicking ass and doing a great job, I reap their benefits too. And so that's okay, but it's very different than knowing that you are the one that is solely responsible for producing everything that you need for your family to survive and to thrive. And it's funny because it's the most difficult, but it's also the best part. Yeah, it's great because it's hard, because you know that it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling because
Yeah.
you become someone that you know you can rely on. Yeah.
That's the big, that's like the key thing of not just self-confidence, but just being a man is knowing that you can rely on yourself.
Other that, I have another one, is knowing that if shit goes down, we're going to war. Like, yeah, the whole stuff going on with Russia right now, and the gas and going on with China.
Yeah.
I think people, there's that phrase that everyone says on Remembrance Day, at least they used to, lest we forget. Everyone forgot. Like it's done. Most of the world forgot what it means to be invaded. Like Canada was invaded back in 1812. America was invaded. Like, do you remember what it means to be in a war-torn country? Men are going to have to nut up and go and fight, and most of us are going to die. So, and it's a burden that men carry. And there's lots of argument for women being soldiers and stuff. Definitely they should be in the military, but in general, most people would agree that the ones on the front lines doing the main fighting predominantly will be and should be men.
Yeah.
And sometimes to throw a woman into that mix, you like, imagine you're a typical man and you see a woman that's like 50 feet ahead and she's getting shot at.
Yeah.
You're all gonna run up and go and save her.
Yeah.
But that might be tactically not an intelligent thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So having that burden of being there to protect, a country or whatever, that's definitely something hard that I think is, yeah.
True.
Thank God I don't need to do that right now.
Right? It's definitely not Call of Duty, man.
No.
It's not.
No.
Shit gets real. Shit gets real. I was actually just, when I was coming here, I was actually listening to Jocko. He just had Tim Kennedy on his podcast.
Yeah.
And they're talking about just the crazy shit that they go through. He's just talking about, Tim Kennedy, his quote was like, he's like, I got grown men's bile and shit leaking on me.
Yeah.
And my bile and shit is leaking out of me, and we just gotta fucking burrow down as much as we can to not get shot because we don't have enough cover, and going and trying to save people, and being like, where that post is, and you can see these guys ready to kill you, and all of a sudden one of your boys comes and rips them apart with some fucking huge ammo.
Yeah.
And you're inches away from death, and you're concussed, and fuck, man.
Yeah.
The way that guy is just fucking like an okay human being,
right?
Like,
yeah.
After all he's seen and done and everything. Whew. Jocko too, of course.
Right.
It's wild, man. It's wild.
Yeah.
But you can see it causes, like you said, that self-reliance. It's a whole different type of confidence that it kind of instills in you.
Yeah.
When you're going through shit like that,
It definitely can, if you get out on the right side.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get on the right side of it and you come out on the right side of it. Yeah. What's the most important lesson you've learned about manhood?
Wow. That's a good one. That's throwing me for a loop, man. Jeez. There's so many.
There is, man. There is.
It's almost a combination of like, so on one hand, an adult male is a man, and whether you want to be a man or not, you're technically a man. And like there's a burden that you have to carry as a result of that. There is a natural way of things that you can either resist and resist and resist and hope it's not there, or you can say, yeah, you know what, I'm a man and this is my lot in life, and you can pick up that burden and carry it. And there's that saying, if you're carrying a heavy load, you don't ask, when can I put it down? You ask for a stronger back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. And I think that there's one of the most important lessons of being a man is that it's at the same time nothing special, but also something special.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you're a man, whether you have all these masculine qualities or not. If you're a feminine man or a masculine man, if you're, if you don't train or if you do train, you're a man regardless. And there's going to be things which we all have in common. There's some things which are completely different, but I don't know. At the end of the day, it's about like living and respecting other people's right to live the way they want to, so long as it doesn't infringe upon your own way of life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And vice versa.
Be who you want to be and go out there and live. Do it.
Yeah. It's very true. It's actually well put. It's nothing special, but it's very special.
Mm.
You know, like it's expected, and like, you're a man, so it's very expected of you. But it's like Jordan Peterson talks about, like, it's a beautiful thing that you're able to handle all of the bullshit, all
Yeah.
of the hard load. Like that's the amazing thing. Like it's
Yeah.
horrible, but it's amazing because you're built to handle it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Well put. Well
Thank
put. What's something you had to do away with in order to become a better man?
Fast food, buddy.
Fuck off,
Fast
eh?
food. So my buddy from the gym, Ryan, actually, he's got an MMA fight on July 9th.
Okay.
Ryan Yapsum. Go check him out. Watch his fight. So he told me one day when we were training that there's this thing called a 5-day fast.
Okay.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? 5 days? Like someone would die. He's like, no, man, it's real. Like, do it. So I did a 5-day fast. All I did was drink water. And I used to be the kind of guy when I, like, in my 30s, all my martial arts training and my man, whatever. In my 30s, I'm driving past a Burger King and it's like 4 a.m. and I come back from a long day at work. I'm stopping. I'm getting 3 Whoppers and a chicken sandwich. I'm down in that shit. And
Same.
I couldn't put it down. 5-day fast. I'd drive by a Burger King. I'd smell it. It was wrong. Something was off. Or McDonald's. Something was off. Like, these are all my favorite foods. Chips, McDonald's, Burger King, pizza. And after I did 2 of them, 2 5-day fasts. After that last fast, I haven't touched any fast food since. Not one bite. And I have no craving for it at all.
How long ago was that?
37 probably.
Really?
Yeah. 3 years ago? 36. No, 36. It was when I was training for that fight.
2-3 years? I thought you were going to say 37 days.
Oh, no. No.
Holy fuck.
No. It was when I was training for my fight at 36.
Fuck,
Haven't touched it. I completely killed my craving for fast food with that 5-day fast.
Really?
There's a secret to it, though. It's a little drink. You put a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a squeeze of lime, and you put in, what the hell is it? Cream of tartar.
Cream of tartar.
Yeah, and Himalayan salt.
Okay.
And it's sodium and calcium, and the apple cider vinegar and the squeeze of lime helps your body to absorb it and prevent all the minerals from getting out of your body.
Okay.
So you have no food coming in, but you're okay with like the basic minerals, and all you do is drink water. Go 5 days. You'll feel like a different person. It is life-changing.
Really?
Yeah. I do it at least once a year.
Really?
I aim to do it once every quarter. But it's hard, man. It's always hard.
Yeah. I've gone 24 and like
24 hours?
Yeah. I've gone 24 hours and I'm like, oh man.
You'll change your relationship with food once you do that.
Yeah.
5-day fast, your relationship with food changes. Because you don't need to eat. That was my thing. Like, especially if you're like into the bodybuilding stuff, you got to get you don't actually need to eat all the time. You're going to be okay, man.
Yeah.
Drive past that Burger King, go home, wake up in the morning, eat something good.
Yeah. That I'm getting to that point. Like, I'm definitely leaving fast food alone, but like I definitely have I call them gift days with my wife where we'll get some shit. We'll get some ice cream or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Last time it was like pie she wanted. She wanted like pie.
Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it tastes good. That's the only reason.
Right?
There's no other reason ever.
It doesn't actually taste good. Yo, eat a pineapple and a watermelon.
Yeah. That me and my buddy were just talking about that. We were talking about like if you go on a certain fast from like if you only drink water for like a year and then somebody like takes an orange and like just squeezes it into water, you'd be like, oh, this is juice.
Yes.
And they'll be like, no, it's not juice. You'll be like, no, this is juice. This is fucking amazing. Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy. I get that with like, cause I put salt in my water a lot of the times when I'm about to do runs and shit, just for the electrolytes. And then I just have cold water with no salt. I'm like, this is fucking delicious. Like this is
it's refreshing. Hey, after you train.
Yeah, man. Like fuck. so funny.
Yeah.
Crazy. 5 days.
5-day fast.
Man, I think
Life-changing.
I think
Life-changing.
I think my buddy Joel just did 3 days. I think he just did like a 3-day one. Because when I did the interview with him, I think he was like 40 hours into his fast or something like that. And he was just like, right before we started, he's like, hold on. Because it was like one of his first times doing it. He's like, I'm just feeling a little. He's like, okay, I'm good. He's like, let's go.
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, you get little bouts of that sometimes. He's like, but I think that's gonna go away. He's like, I think I'll be fine. And I think he went through it. I think he did like 3 days. I wonder. But it's funny that you're not like, it's so funny the correlations you see between like, because I know shaman. I know guys who work really hard. I know like guys like him, that Joel guy, he's like a real man of God, always has been, like since he was young. And there's so many core values that are the same that you wouldn't think, on the surface. You wouldn't think that. You think like a shaman does whatever the fuck they want because they're into psychedelics and doing drugs of that nature. You think a man of God doesn't do certain things or doesn't have the capability to handle certain things, and you think somebody who's like agnostic, atheist, whatever, you think like they have no rules or anything, but you'd be surprised how many disciplines are like the same, how many things you end up getting into that are so the same. It's so funny to see that, man. And all men, right? It's like men just gravitate towards these certain things. Like you give them enough time, enough space, enough dignity, enough freedom, and they all end up going towards those things. Where you think they would just be like slovenly people, but they like you on the surface you might think that, right? It's like, all you care about is God, or all you care about is doing drugs, or all you care about is, or you believe like nothing matters, or like whatever it is, like. But if you give enough time, enough freedom, enough dignity, I don't know, we all gravitate towards doing better.
Time, freedom, and dignity. 3 things that people need more of.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't even realize it. You don't realize it until you get it. Until you really get it.
Yeah.
Like this past year, I really got it. I really got freedom. Like to break away from like the film industry.
Yep.
With COVID happening. And then when I got COVID, that made me realize how much I needed freedom. And then my wife got it. And I was like, if I wasn't in the position, like right now I had some money saved up, so it was fine. Whatever happened, however long it was good. But it's like, need to be able to sustain that longer and more,
Yep.
Like we were at the point, like it was like maybe 2 days, 3 days in, and she's like thinking about maybe going back to work. Like it was before she knew she had it. And I'm like, you're not going to work. I'm like, you have it. I'm like, you've been with me the whole fucking time. And I'm like, you're the same as me. You just slept for 13 hours. I'm like, you have it. I'm like, you're staying home. But like in her mind, like, got to go to work eventually, and I hate that. I hate that feeling.
Yep.
Hate it.
Yes, sir.
It's the worst. I guess we'll go here and then we'll end off.
Okay.
But what's the scariest thing you've had to go through as a man?
Well, I fought 7 people once and survived.
Fuck.
With a scar on my eye, but it wasn't the scariest. Let's see. You know what? I honestly, I can't think of anything. I don't think I'm blessed to have not gone through anything that I look upon now as actually scary.
Yeah.
Like even fear itself. I think that, there's this saying that's been going around for a long time that, everyone is afraid of something. I'm starting to question that now. Like I've been doing some looking into some different cultures that existed throughout the world. And there are a number of cultures that like really aimed to eradicate fear completely. There's that one, you probably know about it. There's a drug that you can take. There's a tribe in Africa that they have it as part of a ritual for manhood. And when you take it, it reveals your biggest fears. Like you might see a fucking gigantic spider or whatever your fear is. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I know. I don't know the drug, but I feel like I've heard about this. That it's like like they do it when they're young, no?
Yeah, it's young. When I went to Australia, so I in Australia, long story short, where we were living, the landlord kicked us out because he wanted to move his family in with like a month notice.
True.
So we're like, all right, whatever. Let's figure it out and let's travel through Australia and get it done with. And we went to this place. It's Ayers Rock or Uluru, the big red rock in the middle of Australia.
No, I've
the
never
big red
heard.
heart of Australia. Like, no,
That's what it's called?
yeah,
No,
it's
I've
called
never seen it.
So most people will know, like they'll see that red rock and be like, okay, I've seen this before. There's a better place. It's called Kata Judah, and
Okay.
Kata Judah is a bit away, and it's like imagine you have to trek there, and it was a right of manhood for that tribe that lived in that area.
Mhm.
They would send men alone to go in. It was like a 3 or 4 day trek. And they'd have to walk, and it is fucking hot there, man. Like the middle of the outback.
For sure.
I don't know how I survived, dude, but I was sunburned as hell, and it was like 45 degrees Celsius there, whatever that is in Fahrenheit, I don't know, but it was hot and dry heat. And anyway, you go up this, and it's a slow elevation, and you finally reach the top, and there's these two. It's like a canyon in a way, an elevated canyon, and there's two walls that are about 100 feet high, and there's like a path in the middle, and it's like a good 50 feet across. And the coolest thing is you walk to the edge and it's over a cliff, and you can see like you can see the curvature of the earth. It goes so far. You're like, I'm gonna fall into nothingness if I drop off. And the coolest thing about that, when you're looking at that view, if you're looking forward, it is completely quiet, but you turn your head a little bit and the wind is rushing. It's a wind tunnel. But because of your ears, if you're looking forward, it's silent. You turn your head.
What the fuck?
Yeah, in that place, like you see the kind of rituals that men used to have to go through to become a man. What did you do to become a man? What did I do? Like it kind of happened, right?
Yeah.
There's these rituals that we're missing. So I want to create rituals for my son. I want to create rituals for my daughter. Like one of them is find your way to the forest alone. Take you there, leave, give you a little cell phone tracker so you're okay, and then find your way out. Like little rituals that you have.
You're gonna do that with your son
And my daughter.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I fucking love that. Oh my gosh.
Like I was saying with the Lord's Prayer, like there was something that was actually very culturally important and valuable as from like moral character point of view that was ripped away, and it was replaced with nothing. Well, same with like rights of manhood. A long time ago, probably, you and I would have been a soldier at one point, which is kind of a right of manhood to defend your country, defend your territory, defend your people, your land. Like everyone's done that for thousands of years. We didn't.
Yeah.
So something is missing.
It's true.
So you have to replace that with, what? So the best thing about now is you can read a book or you can see what other people do around the world, and you can mix and match them and create your own rights.
Yeah, true.
So the most scary thing as a man, I'm lucky I got nothing. Nothing has been scary.
That's fucking good. That's really good. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just for me, I guess I guess just street beef,
right?
To know people are looking for you.
Yeah.
And now you gotta look for them.
Yeah.
Because it's a better feeling to be hunting someone than to
be hunted.
Yeah.
Be the predator than the prey. Yeah.
I've had to do that.
Yeah.
And just like start looking for people. Yeah. It's not a fun feeling either way, but yeah, I've had to do that.
Yeah. That would be concerning.
Yeah.
I do my best to use the word concerned instead of scared.
True. Yeah. It was fucking that's pretty much it. But I mean at the same time it's like I'm coming up to like fatherhood and stuff. That's always that's concerning for me.
As it should be.
More so. I mean, like getting married, asking her to marry me, that was fun. It was exciting.
Right? Yeah.
Like surprised her, we're in my buddy's backyard. It's like a lot like this place, and tricked her, brought her over, like that was fun. The fatherhood, it's like that's a serious fucking thing.
Oh yeah. To take it seriously?
Yeah. And coming from the situations we have, like you have to take it seriously. Like one thing my dad said, I remember when he was in the hospital bed, he was like, it's just like a relay race. He's like, I just gotta pass it on, and like, you do your best. Just do better than I did.
So he knew he was going to, eh?
He knew, because it was when he was first in the hospital. I remember it was the first time I saw my mom and dad in the same room ever in my life. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that until I stopped crying. Because as soon as I saw him, I started crying like crazy. Even though I didn't know him all that much, you know, like we saw each other maybe 20 times my whole life, and then all of a sudden it's like when I was confronted with him dying, it was like I was so upset.
Yeah.
And then fucking yeah, he was just like, it's a relay race. He didn't know what was gonna happen, but like I guess he kind of did, because he got over it. He had the surgery, everything was removed, you know. But like I guess he kind of like he to his daughters, you know. I guess he was kind of like, you know, I'm fine, you know, everything's fine. Come visit, blah blah blah. And he just kind of went back home and, you know, conducted normally. But I think he knew. I think he knew. I think he could feel like he was getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I saw a little. Like I remember when he passed, me and Andrew, we had to go through a lot of his stuff. We had to go into the room that he died in. Andrew actually found him, and we had to go into the room and like just find some stuff. And I saw some things like he was looking into taking like certain pills, like magnesium stuff. He was looking for things to like help him, you know, like survive more. You know, he was trying to think of little stacks that he could take and stuff. So he must have known, and yeah, he just kind of wrote it out. Just wrote it out at home, and just wanted to be at home. I think he really knew, because I think I remember Andrew telling me that day that he was like, or maybe it was when we were just together, just us. I think he looked at him and he's like, right before he left, I think he died like a week later, but he's like, it's me and you against the world, because they were like best friends. They would like hang out all the time. You know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and like he was always like a little drawn back by that when like he'd see me, and you know, I'm like this big thick guy, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm quitting smoking. Yeah, no, I don't want any cigarettes. No, I don't drink. Like he was like, oh, fuck, like, this guy's different. Like I didn't think any of my sons would be like that, you know. Like, but him and Andrew like could connect and sit down, have a drink together, you know, hang out, more friendly, like, you know. But and plus I was named after his father, so I don't know how him and his father were.
Yeah.
But maybe there was some of that. Maybe he was like, oh fuck, he is like my dad. Fuck.
Jeez.
He's becoming more like my dad. Like, fuck, I didn't think that would happen, but yeah, it's so he was able to connect better. But like he said to him, he's like, me and you against the world, me and you against the world. And then Andrew left, and then the next week he called him to hang out again. He didn't answer, and right away, you know,
Yeah.
when you're going through stuff like that. So he knew, and I knew too. I remember I was at the restaurant, like you were talking about at the beginning of our conversation, when you go to that place where like you can hear people talking, but or you can see them talking, but you can't hear them.
Shock.
I remember I saw my sister call, and I'm like, she doesn't call me. I'm like, my dad died. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, he's dead for sure. And I even said that to my now wife. I'm like, nah, my dad fucking died for sure. And she's like, don't say that. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And I just went to the washroom, listened to the message, and I was like, oh, fuck. I knew it. But like as soon as I went and sat back down, I was just like, I couldn't think. All I could think of was like, I gotta get into the car, I gotta drive her home, like back to my place, without like breaking down, because I'm like, I can't, like I won't be able to drive. Like that was my main thinking. I'm like, I don't want to break down in this fucking restaurant here.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I gotta just get home. So I kept it together, and then I told her, and I was like, fuck, this is so hard.
Yeah.
That was a hard thing. It's a hard thing, I find, to miss somebody that you never really knew. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
You miss the idea of it?
The idea of it, and just, I didn't really know.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what he was like. I didn't really know what his values were. You know? I didn't really know how he was growing up. I don't know any of that shit. You know? I just know like a few, like, I just know what my brothers could tell me because they were older than me. So they saw him, you know, and he wasn't in his greatest state.
Holy fuck, how is that?
Right? Jeez.
Loud plane in this part.
Right? He wasn't in his best state at that point, so, you know, like my brothers don't like him that much, didn't like him, you know, so yeah, I didn't know him. I didn't know him all that much at all. I just knew he was a nice guy, he was a funny guy, he'd joke around, and that was basically it, you know. But I don't really know him. Yeah. But as soon as he died, you know, like you miss that person, because you can't ask. That's why I always tell my friends who think their dads are so fucking horrible, I'm like, fucking talk to your dad, man. Just fucking ask him all the questions, everything, ASAP. Because when he's gone, he's gone. It's it. It's done.
Yep.
There's no more after that.
Yeah, man. I lost my grandma during COVID.
Fuck.
I wanted to what we're doing right now. I wanted to do with her. I wanted to get a video going and ask her a bunch of questions.
That's what I want to do with my mom. I got to do it.
Yeah.
I really want to do that with my mom. and my aunt, because she's the last one. I wanted to do it with my dad's brothers, and I found out they're all dead. I'm like, fuck. He had like 3 brothers, I think, and they're all gone. I was like, fuck. I'm like, so my aunt's the last one. She's out in Florida. I'm like, I gotta at least find out what my grandfather was like. The guy I'm named after.
Yeah.
I gotta at least find that out.
Capture your family stories.
Yeah, something. You know what I mean? Just to know, right? You know what? One funny thing was, in terms of like not knowing him, I got these notebooks. I fucking fill out notebooks all the time. I'm always writing shit down, budgeting, just writing down little things, just going through all this shit. And like I'm always doing it. I always leave them unfinished. There's just notebooks everywhere. Like you can just find notebooks. It'll be like dreams here, affirmations there. Like there's a bunch of shit. And fucking, we're going through his shit because we're looking for a will. All of the kids, we're trying to find something. We're like, fuck, what does this guy do? And fucking, I find these notebooks.
Wow.
And our fucking budget was the exact same.
What?
Yeah, and where I had weed, he had alcohol.
Wow, man.
And that was
that's a wake up call right
there. Yeah, that was a big thing for me. So he had it in his budget, and so did I. And I was like, fuck. I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, same type of notebooks. There's just notebooks. It's just random writing and scribbling and just thought here, this, that, this.
Isn't that so weird? You met the guy 20 times in your life, but you got such a shared habit.
Right? How fucked is that?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Like you wouldn't think that notebooks and budgeting would be in a DNA.
Right? It is. Right? It's so weird. It was so weird. But yeah, man, fuck. So yeah, last question. For young men, any man who's having trouble going through his path to manhood, what advice could you give him?
Ooh, going path to manhood. One, you're not alone. A lot of people feel like that. In our day growing up, without the internet, you were way more alone because if you wanted to find out who was feeling the same way, you looked immediately around you. Or you got on the phone and called, I don't know, someone in the yellow pages. Like, who knows what you would do, right? You're alone. But now there's so many groups you can get in touch with. Even if you're only reading what other people think on like internet forums or something, you know, it's important to know that you're not alone. And surround yourself with people you want to be like, that are living the kind of life that you want to live. It's one of the reasons why we moved to Blue Mountains. You know, we want to live that kind of life. So let's go there and be around those kinds of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a no-brainer. If you're hanging out with a bunch of people that are living the kind of life that you don't want to live, then stop. Like, leave. You know, it doesn't mean you can't be their friend anymore, but go hang out with those kinds of people that you want to be like.
Yeah.
And be friends with them. Find something you can do to add value to their life. Go into business together. You know, do something productive and meaningful, and that will give you that. It's an answer to a struggle to find a challenge that is meaningful.
Yeah.
Because you're struggling because you're looking for something to struggle with.
Yeah.
You can't struggle with being a man. You are a man. So go find something to.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, man. That was great. I love conversations like this. I'm gonna do this more. Definitely.
It's been fun. It's been fun to do it outside too.
Yeah, man. It's so much better. Like fuck a studio. I'd rather just have like, you know, better equipment and just fucking walk.
Yeah.
You know? Like I even as we were walking, I'm like, man, I wonder what this is like in the winter. Like I'd like to do this in the winter.
Oh, cool.
Like test somebody's metal. Like you down to come outside, it's fucking freezing. We're gonna walk around for 2 hours.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Right? But man, thank you so much for being on here.
My pleasure. My honor.
Man, amazing. Well, guys, this has been the Open Brother Project. Rob Bayley, and we're out. Peace.